one singularity. Once you do, you'll see the rarity. Bring all the abundance to the scarcity. Rise up as one solidarity. That's rules on the script on the polarity. See yourself as someone else with regularity. Some do it for the love of popularity. That's what speaking from the heart of sincerity. Said it, get it for earthly therapy. Keeping my heart free running coherently. See it pushing the division with clarity. And that's when my ambidexterity allows me to transmute with severity. People we already do, never charity. So now we got this place back to capacity. Because we hit up in that ass like a cavity. Yeah. Coming out of atrophy. It's the heat of the bulk of reality. Take solution, you got me on reality. So what we got, time to think about the gravity. Yeah. Think about the gravity. Yeah. Think about the gravity. When we back in control of the atrophy. That's what it's time to think about the gravity. Yeah. Think about the gravity. Think about the gravity. Think about the gravity. Think about the gravity. Oh yeah. Guess who's back? Yeah, check this out. Hold it down, time speeding up. Having such a hard time keeping up. Must have been love when the lightning struck. Someone, some beats, and a little love. Gravity lifts, the spirit shifts. Starship feelers return like gifts. No more tricks of working shift the tips. Damn, son, I was made for this. Fire will flip, fractals return in the crystal crack. We want the world burn. Ancestors spoke through the gods who spoke. Most were just there, the rest just choke. Worry, let us spit increase. Teach, on seed to reach. Speak, only words you need. Breathe, something unique. Coming out of atrophy, it's the key of the bulk of reality. It's illusion, even out of your reality. So move down, time to think about the gravity. Yeah, think about the gravity. Yeah, think about the gravity. When you're back in control of the atrophy, that's when it's time to think about the gravity. Yeah, think about the gravity. Think about the gravity. Control of the atrophy, that's what it's time to think about the gravity. Yeah, think about the gravity. Think about the gravity. Think about the gravity. Think about the gravity.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Ice Click and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine Ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. In the darkest of nights, gonna let my light shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. I'm becoming fearless. There we go. Caught it. What is up, everyone? It's your main man, your sorcerer supreme. Back in action. Although I never did go. I've been doing interviews like crazy. But yes, what a time it is to be alive. And thank you for being here. And for those of you just tuning in, that was my new single with Sons of the Sun. It's called Singularity. I want to say this just up front because I never do promote properly, but I have been doing a lot of music. We've been getting a lot of stuff done. We got a lot of new stuff coming out. It's really good. We are now in rotation on Soul Mouth Radio in the Hudson Valley in New York. So we'll be getting credits for all kinds of stuff just for being on the air and an independent show with our independent music, not part of the system. So I try to get a pull away from the system a little bit with Sons of the Sun in terms of Spotify, but it would seem that even if you tell them don't put it on Spotify, Spotify takes it and puts it on Spotify. So we're dealing with that. Oh yeah, and I knocked my tooth out again. Same tooth, by the way. I actually knocked out too. One down here too. Okay, so I want to say hello to everyone. I don't want to go through this too fast. I got a lot of information and I'm going to break it up into multiple shows. So I'm just going to try to just take my time with this. So shout outs to Sons of the Suns, shout out to KG, revamping the website. I had to remove pretty much everything. I had a shutdown order. I had everything possible that could happen to me happen. Every item in the store was no longer for me to have for sale. Everything was out, including everything from Champion. And I thought this was the impossible thing. So I had shut the website down for a little bit so I can regather myself and then make it back here finally. So I made an agreement with myself a while back. I'm going to try to keep this in some kind of order. So just so you know, so I'm going to be working around a few things. I had almost 25 interviews scheduled from the last time I've been live on FearLess. It might be more than that. So I want to shout out everyone that's had me on in the past. We were also, because of an interview, played on FM radio. I did a FearLess interview where instead of paying me, I asked them to play my song, Going AWOL, live on air because it was an FM station. I says, I'll give you a clean version. There's no curses in it. Nothing obscure. You could listen to it. It's only 2.5 minutes long. And then they played it in the beginning of the interview and at the end of the interview. They might have played Never Touching Down as well. I gave them 2 clean songs, but that gave us instant FM radio clout, which maybe today isn't as big as you think it might be, but it's huge. Because every time that pops up now, we're going to have already been there. I was making this claim the other day. I was telling Paula, who says hello and sends her love, by the way. I was saying, when you look back at this time, while we're just all in this weird moment, I'll have been creating nonstop, even though I'm going to tell you the story of what the hell happened to me. That when you look back and you like try to chart what's going on like a chart, any kind of chart, mathematical, your own ledger of any kind, especially the music industry for me, they're going to say, he's been on FM radio the whole time. They played him a bunch of times here, and here, and here, and here, and blah, 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 blah. He's even spoken on the radio here. I was making a joke to my brother, who I see all the time now, which is so good. I see him like twice a week for a couple hours. He said to me, he's having a full blast off awakening, 100%. No, non-psychedelic, regular person. I'm a dad, just opening up to the whole thing. And he says to me, I said, if I was to ask you, because I've been talking about this stuff for years and everybody kind of put me off to the side in my family, who are your favorite guys, because you're having this awakening, that you listen to? And he goes, well, David Icke's kind of cool. He's kind of cool. Not really into that as much. Billy Carson is the man. Okay. I've been on Forbidden Knowledge News at least 6 times, right? On multiple different shows. And they just happen to have the week's lineup, right? where I had an interview coming where David Icke was on Thursday, I was on Friday, and Billy Carson was on Saturday. So I said, although I am not either one of those type of guys, I'm my own version of what's happening. I'm right there in the mix. I'm knocking on that door nonstop, and I'm bringing the entire FearLess family with me when I go. So Facebook doesn't let me overly promote in the FearLess group. That's why I don't go in there very often. I'm in there every day to look to see what's going on, but there's limited stuff that I can post. So I check out the FearLess family's posts, but I don't post too often because they kind of shelf it. They allow one post a day sometimes. And I'm like, what? So I kind of like moved over to Twitter a little bit, but not. I don't really like social media anymore. It drives me nuts. Although I'm fanatical on Twitter for news, but I've noticed in the last 6 months, it's mostly bots, and I don't give a shit. I get sucked into it, and I no longer care. Shout outs to everyone here. Let's see who's here. Michael's here. Mike, you're the man, bro. I love you, brother. Mike, I'm going to just say something on air for people. So I just to clarify how powerful the FearLess family group is and the individual members are in terms of how powerful. I am not the only one that had the communication with come help me down in the pit from the last show where I asked the question and told the story. If Satan asked you for help, would you help him? What if it was a demon? What if it was Satan? What would you do at your high level now? Then everyone usually says, I'm not doing anything for any of them, which is what they told me down there. They were like, yeah, if you don't want to help, I understand. But Satan energy was like, I prayed and you showed up. And I was like, oh, that's intense. And then what they needed help with was against the AI, the dark one, the one that everyone doesn't like, the one that causes trouble for everything, was literally opening portals and then creating, you go back to the show, creating like a wormhole to connect the pit, like down into the pit, like at the lowest layer. And then it was reaching in with tentacles and just pulling stuff out. Meanwhile, the pit is trying to regroup, and they want nothing to do with the AI and what they're trying to do with their rituals and everything, because now it's like a technological thing. So the rituals are done like through the flesh and blood and technology. So the demons and all those crazy characters that don't want beef, no matter what you think about demons, not all of them want to just fight you straight up. A lot of them stay hidden because they know they'll get their asses whipped. And it's also a controlled, so it's part of the program to have them there. So if you're going to have angels, you got to have demons. If you're going to have this, you got to have that. So they have rules and regulations they have to follow, and they're pretty strict to it, and they adhere to it well. And it's really, there's an intense control factor over the whole thing. It's really like set up properly. You're not getting a better scenario than that. They've been doing it a long time. However, I say this all the time, and I have a show coming out where we literally talk about this. I say when the AI gets involved, it's like if you and I are playing chess, and the name of the game in chess is war, right? And it's the black versus the white, and so it would be dark versus light, or however, good versus evil, but it's a battlefield. There's a war going on, and it's your job to handle that. So you and I have no problem, the players, right? I love you. Hey, you want to play some chess? Let's sit down and play. Okay. So there's no problem there, but we go to war on the chessboard. What happens if a guy just walks up, some character, and he sits down and he just starts taking like things off the board and moving them where he wants and doing whatever. Oh, this is a better move. You should just do this. I'm going to just do this here. All the way from one little thing, which would drive anyone nuts, to tossing the board. Like, what do you do if a third guy walks up and just punches the board out of your hand? Everything goes flying. You have to reset up. You have to start over again. You're going to obviously be mad at that person. that person is a representative, we're metaphorically, for the AI coming over and interfering in what we're supposed to be doing. So yes, the demons are written in to be demons. They're going to do demon things. But there's a third character involved. Anyway, so let me get back to this. So Michael has his own experience with this. God, I wish some of you would come on with me and just talk to me live on air and tell everyone some of these stories, because you're coming out of the FearLess group. And I love you guys when even more when you're like, listen, I had this experience. This shit is crazy. Where it just shows up in your living room. There it is. Deal with it. And I'm going to talk a lot about that tonight. There it is. Deal with it. Now, did anything messed up happen to me because I went through that experience? Nope. There was no demon, I think, involved. And if they were, it wasn't to my attention, the making of the rest of the story. All right, let's see who's out there. Mr. Coin, what's up, man? Melinda, what's going on? I love you. I miss you too, man. But yeah, Paula keeps, she's in the other room passed out, but she was like, next time you go live, you got to tell everyone what's up. We've reached a point where, yeah, it's getting so weird and so out of line and so backed up and crazy that it's hard to keep up with this. So I have to stick to the story, not the politics. I can't stick to the politics. The politics are a checkpoint. So when you look at like what's going on in politics, you go, oh, wow, this is crazy. We're like 36 days out. Everyone has questions. Everyone has comments. Everyone's team is better than the other team. And that's fine, right? Go down your path. Choose, at least you chose a side. There's a lot of middle walkers that are really going to hate what comes next. But we're sitting back on this and we're watching it. And this has to play out. And we're in the middle of it. So this would be the scripted revelation of the time. Even I, at the level that I am at, and I am at an extreme level now, it's so extreme on the other end where just meditating when I first started, it was like, you need to meditate for a few minutes. It's like, I can't sit still for 30 seconds. It's like, you need to meditate then for an hour, until you can meditate for like a minute or two and just breathe and get back into the game. Well, now we're at the game level is so high that if you can forget to breathe again and you have to go back to the first step, but it's so intense. There's no going back to the first step. All the things I've learned up to this point have changed. It's all good. It all entered my awareness. And then a new game started over here. I'm like, wait, but what about? And they're like, no, there is no what about for you. For you and a bunch of the others, a whole bunch of us, and you might notice this, we're being called away from what we were doing. There's more going on than even I'm allowed to know about. I not that I would be an authority. It's just that I have a visual, so it's different. Like, I was talking to some QHHT person and they asked me, I can't say everybody's name, but they were asking me, yeah. They were asking me some stuff. And I thought to myself, it is time to like blow the lid off this place 100%. What's about to happen, people are like not going to understand this at this level, and they're like, well, that's what you guys are there for, so we're removing you from what you were doing because it was important and relevant that you did all of these things and learned all of these things this whole time and really built a strong foundation for this, right? Like I walk around like, you can't tell me I'm not source. I'm like Frankie Christ, just like you would be, whatever your name is, Christ consciousness. It's like a title. You can't convince me otherwise. So I'm walking through this at that level. So you're expected to be able to handle those things. So everything you've learned up to this point is great, but this is what's really going on over here. And it's like, wait, but what about all the others? No, we have new rounds of people coming in to do that. As I stopped doing things because I was having everything happen to me in my world, I noticed all new players in the game, whole bunch of new players, right? Shout out to all of them. They came in with the same info that I'm coming in at. Each group had their own characters, just like you had with me coming through. If you've been following from day one, you know all who the people I'm talking about, right? Men and women that are just appearing that have the same gifts and abilities. So I'm clairaudient. This is what the lady said to me. What are you like? What can you see and stuff? So I was like, I don't know. I look at your definitions and I'm like everything. I check the whole thing. She was like, really? I'm like, yeah, I see them. I hear them. I feel them. I'm connected to them. I don't believe I'm separate from them. Like there's just that, and that's base layer stuff now. And you have to be ready because here comes the new stuff. Now I can't start today's show with the newest, so we're going to work backwards in the next two shows. I'm going to tell you of my my abduction experiences that have been happening, and I will tell you about my last ayahuasca experience in my apartment because I'm no longer there, and show you how fast the progression is. All the stuff today that we're learning, anyone that's new to this, greetings. You're going to be held to a higher standard, which is going to be difficult, and you're going to be required to do it quicker because the bottom of the toilet is flushing for all of us, and that's the fastest spin on it. We're passing through one vortex point into another. So picture a pyramid, right? But it's a vortex. So a vortex spins, and we're in the spin because that's how we travel. You're not supposed to travel in lines. You travel to the widest point, right? Okay, well, from down here in 3D, it starts wide. You're at 1D, you go through 2D, all your experiences in 3D, it's all wide. And then you get to the 4D point where that's not a place where you are. 4D is like a mental plane of existence that is necessary, a layer that is right there attached with 3D. So you can think because you're a creator. Your thoughts and energy of where all this stuff comes from this layer. It goes into that layer. It goes up through that layer and then passes back down through that layer. And that layer is saturated with all kinds of weird stuff. Everything from good to bad, everything, just all kinds of crazy thought form entities. It's all there. When you drink ayahuasca and people talk about hitting the wall, they let you in there, right? And when you hit the wall, it's like you're not going in a 5D. Or like I don't know how to explain it better at the moment, but that would be the next layer. So I'll try to work through this. So they stop you at like the point in 4D where you could just kind of fly around, kind of check things out, be like, wow, this is what it's all about, right? This is what, and then it's like, no, you haven't started yet. You're just out of your body in this area, in this plane of existence where thoughts exist, right? So your soul, let's see if I could do this on camera. So you are the flesh and you are dense. So you are atoms and your biology, everything's been compacted. And you have lifetimes here. And in that compaction, that compression of over and over and over, what they call your junk DNA is just inactive strands of your DNA that should be active so you can evolve through the whole thing. It also is holding all of that information, especially your trauma, specifically your trauma, let's say, because you get rid of the trauma and you have room for everything else. So it's like circuitry almost that's holding the info inside of you. That's why when you do yoga, you have like these psychedelic experiences where it hurts so much, but it feels so good and you only get benefits from it, but it comes later. It's like ayahuasca. It's really difficult. And then later you feel the best you've ever felt because you're releasing the tension and the compression that has been built over lifetimes of reincarnation and excessive traumas becomes released. right? So then it makes you holy, and then you fill with light. You fill those holes where trauma used to be with light, and you are on the path to enlightenment. You're getting lighter. You're turning into light. So your soul resides in the 4D arena, 5D arena, as a, let's say, like a light source right over you, but it's not in you. But as much of it can be is in you, but that's why it glows off of you. It's almost like a bigger version of you standing over you. Like you can see it on people, not their aura. There's literal light body soul. So as you heal these traumas of lifetime after lifetime and lifetime after lifetime, and you're releasing, however you release and heal, the soul, the light begins to fill more of you, right? And the idea of going from like they go 3D to 5D, and where like you just pass through 4D, like it's a vortex, like a wormhole from one spot to the next, but you have to pass through it. So we're in the tunnel. So decorate the tunnel and enjoy the ride, freaks. Here we go. Come on, creators, one at a time. Let's go. Right. And so we're passing through that, and we're healing our trauma, our ancestors' trauma. We're like mini vortexes of it. But as you're doing it, and and your awareness grows, and things happen to where the experience becomes potent and powerful, where the spirit is meeting the flesh at some point, and it's condensing inside of you. Or are you getting like, is everything pulling apart and making room so the spirit can fit inside the body? Once that locks in, you're in 5D. It's one of the little remarkable things. That's why the head just glows in the back. It's coming off the little bone in the back. Your soul and body become one, and it's in a physical representation in 5D. It's physical. So one of my best friends, he was 53, passed away in his sleep. A guy I knew when I was growing up. So him and I had an awesome growing up. It was ridiculous up until he got married. And then I became the fall guy to something that he did. I'm not blaming. I didn't talk to him. Still never talked to him. He passes away. I find out. Everyone knows him. We all rapped with him at one time or another. He was here every day of his life. So no matter how much I didn't talk to him because he threw me under the bus, we all still loved him. We don't want anyone to unalive. He's got 5 kids. They're all in college. Like, it's just whatever. Anyway, so I was telling Paula about him, and we were talking about stories, and boom, he shows up. So he's hyper confused. He said to me, this happens 95% of the time when somebody I know passes away, and they come back to let me, or they roll into the room with me to let me know they're all right or not, or they need assistance. Like, they always come through. And he said to me, yo, I'm really sorry about all that. I went to sleep. I was in a dream. I was dreaming. And then the dream got real. And that was it. The dream became like a solid reality. Like, oh, I'm in this place now, and I'm really here. He said immediately beings like made of light just walked up to him immediately and were explaining to him that he died. And he was like so confused. So now he's telling me this story, and he's standing right in front of me. And he was a really big guy too. He kind of looked like Ray Stevens, who just passed away. But he was grabbing his arm, and he's like, I have to tell you something. It's remarkably physical here. It's like really physical. Like, I'm physical, but I can do things you wouldn't expect. Like, I'm lighter, much lighter, because he was a big dude. He's like, so I could move like quicker and more free. Like, it's very freeing. I have to visit a lot of people. There's a lot of things that I missed. And then he was saying to me, because we used to play Dungeons and Dragons and Magic all the time, he's like, it's the same thing. Who knew? And we knew, but who knew? And I'm like, I knew. And he's like, yeah, but I didn't talk to you. I was too busy doing life, 5 kids and all this. I didn't have time to think of any of this. And then it just occurs. And now I'm here and it's physical. He's like, oh, I didn't even know. There was no shock to the system. He just said I was shocked because I was in the dream, and then the dream became like really real. And then I was really standing there and it was real. And I'm like, what happened? And they just ran up as soon as that happened. So you don't get confused and you're all out of whack. But he's standing in 5D, he was telling me. He was explaining it to me the way I'm trying to explain it to you. It's remarkably physical. You can still touch. I'm lighter, though. I don't understand it yet. He didn't understand it yet. He was still him and going through this process, which was really weird because when my sister-in-law's brother passed away, right? So all her brothers laugh at me, or have laughed at me one time or another. And one of them passed. So they know already my story. They think I'm a weirdo and think I have no clout, even though I've done all the things that are on their list of guys that should have clout, which is the weirdest thing, which means it's a little bit of jelly. So the oldest brother passed away. He was like 52 years old. So I'm sitting in my apartment and he walks in. And it was like 2 days after, 3 days after. And I was sitting there with Paul. I said, here I go. I'm going to start translating the whole thing. And he just looks at me. And I go, oh, look who decided to show up. How you doing, man? Did you make it? Is everything okay? And he said, you knew all of this. And I go, yeah. And he goes, and you don't tell anyone? You don't share this? He was pretty pissed. You don't share this with us? And I got so out of whack. I went, I did share it with you. Been sharing it with you for 10 years. You've laughed at me. You guys goofed on me. You pulled it to where I almost wanted to fight all 3 of yous. And I have nothing but love for you guys, but you don't listen. And obviously everyone does their own thing in life. And now he was confused and mad at me still. So he still had anger in him and anger issues and problems. Then they take him from me, and the background looked like cubicles with giant screens in it. And the light being sat him down and showed him the screen and showed him who he is, where he's been, and then this lifetime, all the points of contention where you had your opportunity to wake up, knock, knock, wake up. They're telling you, wake up, all through his whole life. So they were like, yo, just leave him be. Don't say anything bad. I'm like, I don't wish anything bad on anyone, honestly, except pedophiles, right? You should all burn. But we're working towards a world without them. We're working towards a world where the rubber meets the road and the spirit meets the. So there's a physical area. I'll ramble. I don't want to ramble. There's a physical area they're going to that's there, and a whole bunch. I haven't met one that wants to come back. Not one. I talked to all my guides about the coming back, and they're like, you're coming here. Why would I come back to you if I'm going to be here? You're walking right in with your body. That was the idea. So it goes far beyond being the example. Some of us, all right, not some of us, in the beginning parts, you'll get people like me that talk. You'll get people like myself that are also the example. We don't just talk and sell a book trying to make money and get fashionable about it. We're like living the life you need to live to get into the position that you need to be in. It's a very responsible thing that you want to do. However, I want my birthright back. I want all of me. I've had enough of the other thing. We're here to shatter the matrix and move through it. That's why I only save certain things. I try not to overbuy. I don't overflex. Sometimes I do, just like everyone else, with whatever you're passionate about. because very shortly, soon, it's not going to matter at all, even though you'll still have it. And you'll realize, I don't need that. Well, I want to be the guy that doesn't need any of it, because right now I still need stuff. Right. So we let go slowly, but I'm learning, and I'm not talking about giving things up. I'm just talking about living grotesquely, with your mind, your body, and then things around you. Like, I only surround myself with good things that remind me, keep me constantly reminded. And you're like, well, Frank, you're surrounded by, like, my mother was making fun of me. She goes, it's like a 15-year-old kid's room. Every time you give him a room, he shows up and it's like a kid's room. And it's true. I got a lot of kid stuff around me to remind me to keep that fantasy alive, because that's going to be the fuel to the whole thing. You know, demons don't do anything to me, but right before they were doing it to me and then stopped, I was smashing the shit out of them. Like, you couldn't stop me, right? Like I was a crazy spiritual superhero. And I still do that stuff from time to time, but every time I go to do it, I'm like, I should revisit this scenario and go take a look. They're like, nah, don't bother. It's a script. If we need you, we'll ask you. Yo, come on. Like, there's others like you now in that position, but we need you here because it's about to get out of hand. So you have to change what you're doing. You have to change it up. You got to really change it up. They wanted me to change it up so much that I didn't go live for 2 weeks at least, because I've been debating in my head. It's been hard to pull the trigger on anything, whether or not I should change my intro and do like, just do a new intro, do it on the same beat, just update everything across the board. This is going to take time, effort, and energy. A lot of things I can't do. I'm like, I just don't have the time for this. I'm trying to do all this stuff, but I can't get anything done. And they're like, because you're not supposed to be doing it. We told you to take the year off, but obviously you had contractual obligations. Anyone that booked me got me. I couldn't be taken out that way because there were still messages for the new community. They're like brand new people listening on new shows in new places and new territories. It's very little bit, and now it's my turn to touch back. See, I'm about to work it around. See, I got some magic about to be played. Everything lined up, and I pulled the trigger. I said, I'll just wait till later to figure everything out. Just get me on here, because all the systems have changed. I'm on StreamYard. You could do a million things. I don't know what the hell's going on. And I'm pressing buttons, and I'm like, just I hope this goes out. Right? They're like, see all that? You're not going to have to worry about that soon. This is why that stress and pressure needs to go. We need to release all of that. You can't have that no more. And I'm like, let's just go live. Well, the other night, a buddy of mine hit me up and said, yo, he's been hitting me up for 8 months. He checks in almost every month. And each time he checked in, I had something massive happening. So obviously it starts to feel victimized on my end. Like, oh, I'm just a victim. When I read the email, I'm like, oh, every time I talk to him. So I'm like, let's go. When are you free? And he said, oh, I'm free on this day. So we went and recorded an awesome show. So after this releases and is up, I guess for like 24 hours, then I'll release. That episode is like 2.5 hours as well. And then I got a couple more that they need to come out now, but it's going to be a high level of things that we're going to discuss. And I'm going to get into it. I'm just going to say hello. I want to check back in on everyone because I have a habit of not doing that. And I'm trying to slow it down just enough because I have so much to say, but I have a whole notebook here filled with stuff. And it has to come out in the order it has to come out. And I got yelled at by Ayahuasca for not writing down my experiences. I said, I've been writing my experiences. She goes, not since you, she goes, you don't write down your experiences, really? I go, well, I do the video show. She goes, when was your last show? I was like, all the stuff on the other shows is like,
you start to introduce yourself to people. How did you get from A to B, from here to there? What was your awakening like? Did you know everybody's source? That's still the hardest one. It's source, baby. And by knowing that in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, something else happens. It's different than when you're like, oh, yeah, okay, great. I'm a great spirit and I'm a powerful king warrior made of light and all that light warrior stuff. That's great. But source is source. And just like I said to the reptilians, the last time they bothered me, what is your plan on defeating source? Could you show me on paper? I had a piece of paper and I was like, yo, here's source. Show me on the paper how you're going to do it. And they were like, don't be, you guys are ridiculous. They were like, you can't beat source. That's why I started saying, yeah, there's no, not only do you have no shot, there's no chance to even compete. Source doesn't have enemies. Gods do. Remember that. Lowercase g's. They all have beef. They fight with everyone and everything and all kinds of things, and they're archetypes and they're not archetypes and they're demons and they're AI, whatever. You guys could all fight with each other. I'm not of that. I'm of this, which is called the all source. I walk around as such. I don't feel separate. However, I'm independent 100%, as well as every other being that's aware of this, that will become aware of this. There's like 4.5 billion of us here on the planet. Every single one of us has the ability to do what any of us are doing. It's just different paths, different ways, different people, different places to make sure that you ground source energy and create a net around the planet to pull it up where we're going, right? So when they're like, well, up where? Where are we going up? The doomsday clock, which is not a clock for doomsday for us, it's doomsday for them being the bad ones. It's an ascension clock, and they're just calling it doomsday. Go figure. Everything's inverted here. We're like 15 seconds to midnight. Picture a clock, the clock face. I think it would be this way on the camera, right? And you go from, starts at like the 12 o'clock hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now just put Earth vibration frequency on the big hand as it moves, and you're like, you make your way all the way around, and then you come back up, and you're 15 seconds to midnight. Well, what is that? We're about to break out of here into the real frequencies. So we've done all the positions on the clock already. We've gone around the zodiac on the universal scale and on the individual scale. 25,000 years, I think it's 25,000 years. Reset, starts again. All the old has to go. Here comes the new. You don't get a choice. So the problem that we've been having here on the planet, which is why we came here to handle this problem, is that for like 125, 200,000 years, there's been interference. So when the baton kind of shifted from one to the other, it was just lowercase g gods, which are basically ETs, just fighting with each other over DNA and land positioning and rights in the universe, because one is greater than the other, just to get caught. Once the trap was set and was ready for the reincarnation cycle, whoever died in here went into that, which is why you have what we have is a mixture here on the planet. So I don't know how to explain this better than this, but picture this in your mind. If Zeus showed up and Shiva showed up and Ra showed up, metaphorically, we're just doing it as an example, and they all fight each other, and Zeus gets unalived in the first shot, boom, and we are in the reincarnation cycle. He is now trapped in it. He dies and goes to that, unless he's a thought form, but we're not going to say he's a thought form. We're going to just say So he shows up on the planet. The longer you stand around on the planet, the spin of the planet creates the time that we experience on the planet, and that feeling of it creates density, thus densifying the lowercase g gods. They become weaker the longer they're here because it's going through the dense stage of the clock phase to come all the way around and get lighter, and boop, you're out. Graduation, harvest, whatever you want to call it. Try to follow this trajectory. It's crazy. So all these characters fought on our planet. We have refugees from other planets. They came here as characters of our past and our old. Characters like Hercules and examples, Conans and Smurfs and Fraggles and Bigfoots and Pangea, where everything was just a crazy mess. And then people from the stars. If you die and the reincarnation cycle soul trap is up, you're caught in it, which is why the kings and the queens and the ETs and the Smurfs and whoever else is the little people, the big people, the giants, they're reincarnated on the planet, and you carry the DNA. How much of it is unlocked is an individual thing. So I can speak for the generalized structure of the whole thing. In my experience, I could put out facts throughout everything and everyone, but you and only you will know your stuff. So I can't tell you about you. You need to know about you. I had to find out about me, and I found out after moving how people really feel about me, and it was confusing and upsetting on a level I can't explain. I can try, but then I might cry because it was just so crazily hurtful. You guys know me now for at least 7, close to 10 years, some of you. I've never hurt anyone, and I've only helped people, yet people still see me as an interference on the highest level. Just because I live the way I live, I love the way I love, and I act the way I act. So it's almost impossible for me to be me. I have to be like 3D Frankie, get back into the swing of things. Well, I'm still injured, man. So I turned, by the way, 50 in August. Thank you. Wow, look at that cup. Yeah, the universe rewards bravery. Oh, you like that? You get that on the website as soon as it reopens. Very hurtful. People are very mad at people for a lot of things in the world. A lot of projecting, a lot of wearing the masks. I was done with that over there. We're going to get into that. Let me just go over and say hello to everyone. What's up, Olivia? What's up, James? What's up, Gary? What's up, Shadowcraft? Dawn, how you doing? Greetings. Hey, Nick's here. Zervos in the house. I can't wait to see you, brother. It's going to be a good, end of November or Thanksgiving-ish. What up, Weapon X5? What's up, Crow? Yeah, I feel like a lot of us. What's up, Hans? Lexi, can I tell you a secret? I thought about you right before the show today. Popped right in my head, like as if you were calling me, making a phone call, and you were like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, look." Thanksgiving, perfect. It's gonna be nice. Yeah, me too. It's been way too long. So, we're gonna go back in time a little bit to immediately following the last show. The reason why I never went live again after that show, other than doing other interviews, was because my landlords, new ones, broke the lease. They literally came to us and they came out and they planted in the yard, and the front yard goes right to our front door. So anyone that's been there knows what I'm talking about. It's like a grass patch from the front of the house to the back of the house. They loaded it with like garlic and tomatoes or whatever. They dug right into the ground. They were just going nuts. So they had just fixed the upstairs the 2 floors upstairs. They kicked out the middle tenant. And then, I mean, down to there was nothing except the wood beams in this place. So they cut off our heat and they raised our rent like a ridiculous amount, like $600. We were like, what? And they were like, what are you gonna do? So we had it contracted till October of this year, which would have been coming up. And when they got to the point where I guess the backyard became Animal City when they planted that food, there were cats, raccoons, squirrels. I mean, birds beyond what you can have there. Like, just they swarmed, they dug everything up, they ate everything. So the guy blamed the cats on destroying the whole place. So he said to me, I need you guys to leave. We're breaking your lease and we want you out so my mother and father could have the place. So I'm like, oh, you should have just said that up front instead of, I'm trying to find these cats. They're forever home with me and my wife. I call Paul my wife, by the way, and we're engaged. So that happened. So technically she is. But it happened so quickly. They were like, you have 30 days. This is what they told me. You have till the end of the month to get rid of all the cats. This was ugly. This turned ugly in one little argument because the guy was getting uppity. And then I just talked to him and I put that down. He's blaming the cats for everything. And I said, yo, it's easy to pick on someone that can't pick on you back, huh? I said, there's been no problem here for 10 years. You come along in the first 3 months, there's problems and you're causing all of them, but that's okay. We're going to just take everyone and leave. So he's like, no, you don't have to leave, because he wanted the rent money for a couple more months. He goes, but all your cats have to leave. I said, so you're basically telling me to get rid of my family and then you can stay and pay me all this ridiculous amount of money for no heat, right? Like, it turned into like fire bursts. So with all that, Ayahuasca said to me, well, I had been saving from the majority of my clients, always the leftover from the ayahuasca. I never throw it out. I just move it forward and I keep that for me. So I have this really potent, it's like gotta be thousands of milligrams of potency. And then I reduce that to about a cup and a half. And I said, well, we're leaving. And my mother said, come back home to the house that you grew up in. Bring Paula, bring the cats. So now I'm in the kitchen with the ayahuasca and I say, okay, this is my last one here. And I just drink it. I drink a lot of it, not all of it. I still have some left, but I was told today actually that I have to throw it out by ayahuasca. I have a lot of new fresh stuff I have to try, and she said the old stuff is still attached to the old stuff, so you got to get rid of it now. She goes, you did good, but now it's got to go. So I take my place in the living room, and she says to me, you're relatively good, because I had done a few mushroom experiences, but they were very just me getting worked on prior to this. So that's why I never really spoke about it. And the one that with the demon had come to me, that was like a month before that. Because it takes me some time sometimes to really integrate the story, because I don't want to miss anything. So I got to I got to write stuff down, because now it happens so much. You got to jot it down, or you got to put it on video, or don't. But you got to talk to someone about it. I go right to Paula, this is happening to me. Oh, and I just tell her. I don't never lie to her. There's no reason to. I don't need to fake the funk. I don't need to show off. I don't need to do anything. Some days I'm a little baby and some days I'm not. And when I am, I go right to her. Hey, this is what's happening to me. So I share it with her. Is just as potent as sharing it with the world, because a transformed me will get you transformed in your position. We share the energy. So it's more important that I do it than talk to people about it. I just tell who I need to, so I can become more aware that when you talk about it, more comes in. It's like, oh, okay. So you did see that. You did notice that. Did you know there's more magic behind that? Behind every mask, there's another mask and another mask and another mask. And behind door number 2 is door number 3 and door number 18. And you never went this way. Oh, check this out. So ayahuasca says to me, so I'm not going to talk about the cats no more and all that other stuff, because some really devious stuff happened. So next episode, we're going to get into like how I got here. This is my story for this episode. And if you're sharing any of this stuff, please let me know, because this is where it gets crazy. This is the internal stuff, like why you need to know you. My story's fun. It's cool. It's always the story, though. Notice I'm not out there promoting UFOs and all this other weird stuff. I'm not I don't have classes where you come and you get charged for me to show you the way. I'm doing that here, which is why everything hates me. Okay. So she said to me, ayahuasca said, I gotta put my glasses on. Don't make fun of me. You wanted the truth? Let's get to the root of all issues. Okay. I thought we did all this ayahuasca, mother. What happened now? So simple-minded of me to think that what I've done in 10 years is the whole thing. Like, oh, you covered everything, Frank. That's it. It's all done now. You've ascended into heavens. No, that's not what happened. You're not even close. Listen up. She shows me 9-year-old. I'm going to get really emotional. All right. So she shows me 9-year-old me. So she says, I want you to watch what happens here. At 9 years old, I was I guess my parents got a house from my grandparents. We moved in. We weren't there long at all. And the kids there were brutal. They weren't just brutal. They were like, it was like next level stuff. So the area at the time was nice-ish. And I've discussed the ancient demon that I've battled through since we released them in Atlantis, at least, with the witch that held the bones under the staircase, literally lived 5 houses away, furthest 5 houses away from me. So that whole area is contaminated by that energetic force. And I saw the bully beat the crap out of me for the first time. He beat my ass in front of my house. I didn't know you can even fight like that. I had no clue. So I was like, man, that's really whack. I don't want to see that stuff. I'm like, I'm over that. The guy punched me in the face. I thought you could use the force. It didn't work. And then they kicked me in the face and beat me down in front of the house. I was a little kid, 9 years old. I was a little chunky kid. So I'm like standing there with Aya, and I'm back watching it from a higher position, right? I see all these other beings saying, okay, he's not going to be able to do this. He's not going to be able to handle this. It's too brutal, right? And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, for looking from up there was like, we had people in like the mob and doing terrible things on the block. We knew a lot of them. There was a lot, and it was like a 4-corner break where a lot of people hung out. And I was seeing like, death and murder and whatever, like from all these different people and like the disgusting things they were doing. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. As I'm panning back, this whole neighborhood is just bad. And they're like, she's like, hold on. So I see me come walking out. And I'm like, now I'm older than the version that I saw. He comes out and he says, all right, I'm going to go. And they were like, oh, you sure you want to do this? They were literally thinking of putting someone else inside of in like taking out 9-year-old Frankie and replacing him with a version of me from somewhere else that's already done this, but nobody wanted to go. No, not one, nobody. I can see that. Like they were like, I'm not want to go in there and deal with that. And Big Me said, I'm going to go in. I'll do it. So future me jumped in and replaced baby me, 9-year-old me. When I got I was fractured. That was the moment I was fractured, like bad. Like I was beat up by older kids. They had to be 15, 16 at the time. And it was quite the breaking. And they pulled him out. They pulled out little Frankie. They pulled me out. But it was the past. And then the future was like, Frankie was like, I'm going in. And he went in and he was just, I remember I changed. I remember when I changed. The bullies got me a couple more times over the years. There was just nothing I can do with it. When I was like 13, I was bulky. I was 165 pounds. I was 5'7". I went into the candy store and the kid he did something with my bike. He came out and everyone's much older now. And as he came running up on me, my father was like telling me some stuff, and my parents were getting divorced at the time. So I had a lot of anger. He says, if anybody ever touches you, because I might not be here, you just tell them, no matter what happens, I'll be coming back to take care of it for you. I said, all right, no problem, whatever. And just so happens, Dad's gone now. And here comes the bully. Comes right into the store, pushing me, he took my bicycle. He left with it outside. I came out, he comes running back up, and I just punched him square in his face and broke his nose. It broke flat to where the owner of the store, the guy working, I don't know if he was the owner, he grabbed me by the arm and was like, I'm calling the police. I was like, get your hands off me. My father's coming here to see you. Get your hands off. And he let go of me. He's like, oh, I know your dad and whatever. I was like, I know you do. He told me to tell you he'll be back. I went outside. I picked up my bike. My friend Garrett was outside. Garrett couldn't believe what he was seeing. He was like, you finally did something. I go, well, you're the older kid. You should have did something to help me. Now I'm not taking no more crap from you. And then his other brother came out. I kind of went towards my house, dropped my bike, did the same thing, just beat up his older brother. But I snapped during the experience. So it's not like, yay, I got beat up like 100 times for every one time I want to fight when I was little. And my brain snapped. I thought about terrible things. I was capable of doing them. And I was like, whoa, this is going to get interesting now. I'm big enough to throw my weight around. That was a no bueno moment for me. I said the thought of Star Wars and He-Man went out the window. And I was like, I'll do that in my house privately, maybe, and I'll enjoy it that way. But when I come out here, I'm going to punch you right in your face. That's how, don't, all you're going to do is go, hey, you want it? It's already done. I already punched you. That's how I started rolling. And I didn't like it. I don't like it today. I didn't like it then. It makes you feel like you're a tough guy when you're in it, but someone always beats you up again. There's always been a problem. There's never not been one. I don't have any of these issues anymore. There's for a long time. But this is where the break happened. So my break was like a physical beatdown where I fractured as a child. And they were now had to work this out immediately because they were like, yo, this kid's going to, I don't want to say what they saw, but you obviously, when I say you're not going to make it, you know what I mean. So if this continues, he's not going to make it. Okay, I'll do it then. And I've seen this before when I got attacked in my house. It was the day my cat Squeak was attacked for protecting me. They were attacking me from every direction. There was 3 of them. And they kept like sending yellow energy at me, and I was throwing up in the bucket, and I was screaming for help. And I was completely out of my mind. This was way in the beginning, and I was throwing up in the bucket, yellow contents. It was just yellow liquid, and it was the color of the energy they were hitting me with. And when they just like took a minute, like, well, we're gonna stop doing this. This isn't working. It's not working on him. He's just throwing it up. And I saw my great grandfather. I saw the white lion being of myself. I saw the ascended version, like with the bird head version of me. And they start talking to each other, and they're like, okay, which one of you is going in there? And they were like, I'm not going in. I'm not going in. And then the lion, they looked at him and were like, you go in. Like he's getting beat up. You go, you giant white lion with a crown on your head. You get in there. And he roared and jumped in me, and I just stood up. And then he goes, get me the one closest to him. And the snake attacked Squeak. He was on the other side of the room. He was like coming into the room to see what was going on. And this gray, who was like, he was as big as the doorway. He was huge. I was like, why do you hate me so much? What did I do to you? And he goes, I hate you. And he leaves. And I'm like, what? A few days later, Squeak passed away, had to be put down. He's just immediately started like losing his mind. Just staring off in the distance. Like it happened so fast. We didn't know what to do. We immediately went to the vet, and the vet was like, you got to put him down right now. He's losing his shit. And I was like, he is. I saw him sitting at the food bowl just staring for like 5 hours. There's nothing we can do. Every time we move him, he just walks back. And then they x-ray him. And then I've showed the pictures on air. I called Ra from Eye of Ra. Shout outs to Ralphie. Showed him the pictures. And the guy says, you're supposed to be able to see the bones and everything in the cat, right? You can't see any of that. It looked like a bubble. And then a snake head with 2 teeth, and then like the 2 fangs coming from where it looked like the tail was almost inverted into the body. That's like a snake's piece. And the vet's going, I don't know what that is. Like we tested the blood. He's got this disease that really can take you out quickly. It's a very bad cat disease. I'm like, how could he just get that and die like that? Just like that. He was healthy. He's a year old. 1 year. Oh, they always go for the innocent ones. However, the lion jumped into me and took over for a minute. And when he was in me, I was unstoppable. I was like spiritually, I felt like a different guy. I was like, what is this? Now it's still me. It's just that version of me. So it was weird. It was like a possession of yourself from one of the other versions. I'm like, look at this. Your ancestors really are standing there. They really are trying to help. They really are being a part of this. These things are really occurring. Now, when you hear about like this space program where the 20 and back and the this and the that, you could kind of start to see that if future you has the ability to do something and goes in, he could get involved. You mean the future version of me is standing over there looking back like, oh, I can see now. So now I'm going to echo back to the one that is aware and to the moment, trying to get that moment sooner. Be aware of me. Be aware of me. I'm with you. I'm with you. And it echoes out. And then I turn around and go, I hear you. Oh, by the way, I see you. I was like, what's up with the clairaudience and the clear visuals, whatever you guys call them? I go, I could see up and down in density. You're a creator being. You should be able to do anything, everything. Not at first, but if you have one thing, it expands into many. Right? Making what you initially did really awesome, but now it's time to move on and do this. Like we're being called to like do something that's never been done. And now that I'm here with everyone, with all of you, I realize I'm a bumper for the next level. So when everyone starts losing it, we're like, no, it's okay. And it's not just, oh, we're okay. The energy behind it will be, no, it's all right. Everyone relax. We got this. It's not going to be great for everyone. It never is. The more awareness you have, the more you realize what's in the program that you're experiencing in this false matrix. I'm sorry, but some of it's not real. Some of it's a lot of it's contracted, and some of it is just somebody's got to be the witness to the experience. So there's people that are observing and there's people that are involved. And if it's your part to do any of that stuff during this time, then you're being called to do that. That's the best I can say. I am being called to watch and observe from a high level, to not get involved, so I can pay attention to the transformation, so I can watch and dissect it as we go, so I could explain it as a regular human being to the regular human beings, right? No, this is supposed to happen. This is okay. It's purging, right? So whenever I say, oh, you're probably purging because there's an eclipse, my mother, family members, they laugh. Now we're at the point where they go, oh, and I go, it's a full moon again, 3 days up, 3 days out. And they're like, oh man. I'm like, now you're going to know next full moon cycle, if you didn't fix this, you're going to have that again. They feel the energy coming again. Next full, now it's, oh, it must be a full moon tonight. So you go from being the villain to, ooh, hey, did you know it was a full moon? Can you feel the energy? It's really crazy. And you're like, yeah, I know. 10 years. 10 years. So the funny part, I go back in music, and from our very first album to now, Paul and I were like going through all the music one day. We were laughing, and then I was going, look, it goes to conspiracy, air quotes, has been there the whole time. I've been talking about everything happening right now since 1997. It's the weirdest thing. And back then, I wasn't a very good rapper in 97 at all. I didn't even get good until like 2001. But when Heist Click Invincible came out, right? Like, it was like a fire in there. And inside of that was every I got to watch what I'm saying on here. I think every conspiracy you can imagine. Everything. Oh, by the way, YouTube removed any time I've ever mentioned the boop boop, 19. They removed all my videos where I even mentioned anything involved with anything like that. That was another thing. I was fighting with them. If you notice, I'm still at the numbers that I was 5 years ago. It's driving me nuts. Then I stopped doing anything with them. And then it went up past 1800. 1800? What are you, mad? Okay, so in time, they were showing me the spiral circles, right? Inside the spiral circles are moments in time. We might call them like the staircase. Like, so you step, and then that's the new level that you're on. Step, new level. But there's a lot of them because there's just lots of steps, lots of things that are happening. Okay, so I see behind the spiral, and I see insect eyes, and I'm kind of like, are they watching me, or are they trying to influence me and my staircase? And they're like, oh, that's not your staircase, that's everyone's staircase. So it was like the master case where everyone's on different layers, different levels, do all this, but it was like a master one. And I saw the eyes behind it. It's coming out of this like red square that I kind of saw. And I was like, what is that? And they were like, oh, you're seeing through the matrix. So they control the matrix. It's a matrix control thing. And they're looking at you inside the spiral, trying to figure out which one of they could pick off of here. I was like, pretty interesting. I was like, did anyone notice the eye behind the insect eye? So behind, in another layer, looking directly at me, was the AI. giant red eye just staring. I said, keep recording. You ain't going to be seeing me for much longer around here. But the next time you do see me and we make spiritual to physical contact, be sure you're going to get your ass whipped, because we're going to have 1,000 years of golden and then 1,001. So all the timelines collapse into a singularity at some point. It's before that, it's the you go left or and we go right on the train, like the train separates and you're in two different places, two different timelines. So you got the AI timeline over here, where there's all the cyberpunk stuff and cybernetics and the takeover and however it decides to work itself out. And then you have the 5D Ascension timeline, which is just it's supposed to be the regular timeline. So all your timelines are going to collapse. You're going to experience the split where you have to make a choice. And you're in the train, everybody's riding, there's two of them. And then at some point, they just kind of pull away from each other. They're still kind of connected all the way down here, but they're going to pull away eventually. So you can jump back and forth. You could contact people on the other side. You could do all kinds of crazy stuff, but eventually it's going to make a move. But it blurs out and then comes back. They're like, you're supposed to just have the one. The false matrix fractured you guys. You're supposed to be experiencing this as a collective planetary thing. You're using your emotions wrong. You're being taught wrong lessons nonstop. You're supposed to take the experience in and create. So we're creating, taking in experiences. Where is it going? It's going back to source, right? But we are source. We're like the connection to source, even though source is everywhere. Right? It's like experiencing itself in the mirror. Ooh, look what I made. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, I don't even know who I am. Who are you? Oh my gosh. And it's just infinite. And it will be infinite. That's the coolness of the whole thing. It's in the torus field, the donut. When you lay it on the table, if you were walking inside the donut and the torus fields activates, the energy collapses inside the hole in the top of the donut and comes out the bottom and comes back up again. You walk on the inside of the donut until you gain awareness that you're standing in the donut, and then you can flex on whatever you want. As you walk inside that donut torus field, there are little screens in the architecture of the actual environment you're in on that level, and you choose where to focus. So things are folding in on themselves, and there's little tiny screens everywhere. I mean, they're everywhere. That's why you're infinite. But eventually you do your source. You fill the whole thing. So it loops back in on itself like a closed circuit and comes back up like an infinite loop. And then it's something different. Look, now you can fly. It's infinite. So you got to think to yourself, wow, this is crazy. So our experience up to pretty recently has been walking inside of the torus field donut. But as source, you like stand in the middle and realize it's all emanating from you. Now, when you take that perspective, it changes everything. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa. So I can and they're like, yes, you can heal the whole thing. And I'm like, let's heal everything. Like, stop the process for a second. Light up everybody that has trauma, every window. And you're like, whoa, look at all those windows of trauma. How did all those fractals get in here? How did all this happen? You know what? I don't even care. I'm healing them all. I don't have to have the definition of it. I'm healing it. I'll find out later. I don't want to know every trauma that's ever been done to me. The last one that they showed me was the most terrible of all time terrible things. And I've talked about it on the other shows. I'm not going to revisit it. It's just, I can't keep seeing that, but there's so much. Heal it all. So I ground myself, heal it. Then the new time it flips through, it's all clean and clear. It's all new stuff where you're starting from baseline. And it's like, wow. So you could do this and you could do this and you could do this. Oh yeah. And it's infinite. And you're in the good of it now, because you're not walking around lost at all these thoughts on movie screens in your head going crazy as you're walking through this environment where the more things change, the more they stay exactly the same. That's because you're walking in a circle. And that's because it collapses in on itself and you've done everything because you're source. And now we're here. We're here at the magic point. We focused on where the rubber meets the road. I keep using that. I want to slap myself when I say that, but it's the truth. It's like spirit and the flesh have been divided for too long. You've been confused with a commercial sense of things, which is just terrifyingly disgusting and whack. And lies. Did I mention lies? So how's everybody doing? I know I just babbled a little bit. Namasine, Sarah, Denise, yes, for Trump. Yes. Shell, Niche, hey, what's going on? I'm sending all of you love. I missed every one of you. Yeah. So we're still gonna get crazy. So I have this thing where I noticed I was missing time, right? So I felt like I was missing it, but just for a moment. What's going on, Alan? Shout outs to Arizona. Like almost like I was blinked out and blinked back in the time like you could blink your eye. So I started noticing this happening more and more often. Well, it was fine for me. I thought maybe I smoked too much weed or maybe whatever. The brain is bent. I'm like, but I feel good. And Paula comes in the room and says, yo, I think I'm missing some time, right? I feel like I'm gone and I'm back. Was it me? I was just this and now I'm that. How did that happen so quickly? I didn't even get through the last thought and I'm here already ahead of it with the no, I'm not even like that anymore. So why would I even think that thought? I looked at her and was like, oh, wow. So Ayahuasca says to me, now remember that spiral staircase we were just on? I'm like, yep. She goes, now here's yours. Came around me. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. She goes, all right. Remember your experiment? I go, so when Paula said that to me, I rolled a fat blunt because we were like bugging out. And I said, we're going to smoke this OG gangster style together. And we're going to talk about this. So while we were smoking it, and it was awesome, I look over at her and I say, so check it out. I got this idea. There's no way that they could take me. Anyone can take me and put me back if I'm holding this weed and it's marked on this area. Like, look at it. You see it? It's marked. I'm holding it. I'm not letting it go. Blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm hitting it. And boom, I was gone. And then I was back. And I was just like, and she goes, what just happened? And I go, holy shit. I don't know. So now under ayahuasca, she's like, let's show Frank what's happening to him and his wife. They show me having the test. They show these ETs just looking. And they're like, oh, he wants to play a game? We'll play a game. He thinks we can't take him and put him back in the same spot with the blunt in his hand at the same burning point. It just stopped. I saw the ET not come in and get me. I saw him pull. So if the spiral staircase, we were saying like there's stairs and you step on each layer. So in each layer, you have like photographs, and when you pull the photograph, like an old Kodak, it's like a flat, it's like on a little card, and you could stick it in the projector, and the projector's round, and you can press a button and make it move through the pictures. Right, one picture, two picture, click, 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 and it'll be up on the screen. That's how it used to be done, old school. So it looked like that, and It was definitely a he. But the ET pulls the card, the photo of the moment. It stops the moment. Can see the moment from any direction. Enters the moment. Does whatever they want to do, including take anything they want, move something for just a second from here to there, just to be stupid. All these different things you can do with this tech or whatever, however they were doing it. So he pulled the card, pulled me out. I was with them. All kinds of testing, all kinds of weird stuff. And I've developed, I have this thing on my back, lower back hip. It's like a bubble that just won't go away. Ever since this started going on, I have this thing here. It's like a section that was cut out of me. I got to get better on the camera. There's like lines in my hand right here. And the shape is like a triangle shape. I have another one in the middle of my back. And I'm like, what is this going on? And they're just inserting stuff into me. So I'm going, what the? I thought I was over this. They're like, well, this isn't demons. This is real life. I was like, oh, okay. So one thing has nothing to do with the other. They're like, correct. So the card's pulled. It has the photo on it. The metaphor is each picture has 1,000 words. They enter that moment, do what they need to do, reinsert it. So now I'm back. And I'm like, blunt's still going. Damn it, they can do it. Then I see the good guys roll up, when I want to call good guys. And they're like, yo, pull that card. What card was that? I see all these other guys, like other beings going over, like going through the photos. And then they pull it. And they're like, here it is. They go back in and put me back to fix everything. Don't let them come in. So now they put the card back with the photo on it. And I'm like, Frank is just sitting there blinking in and out. Like, and I'm going, what's happening? What's happening? So the ETs that started this whole thing, the darker ones or whatever, I don't know what they were doing. They were like tagging me. It was very not cool what they were doing. So then they started going backwards in time, right? They went down the staircase and they were like, oh, here's a good moment. They'd pull the card, get in there, mess things up, create scenarios that were just so terribly awkward. And they're like, that'll throw it off all the way up there. Reinsert the photo, go back. Good guys, come down. Boom. Pull the card. Okay, so now they're battling over this. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting in the chair. Like, I can't believe this is happening to me. I'm having like flashes of things that didn't happen, but could have happened. Then things that did happen. Did that happen? And I don't remember it like that. Boom, going back to normal. No, it was like that. This has been going on for quite a while. They thought that by going in to the little moments of time that they can change me on the other end, because attacking me here isn't going to work because they're watching immediately. Everyone's watching immediately. So now they're watching them go backwards. So that this is creating, first of all, the good guys don't always get it right. Let me just say this right now. Sometimes they just don't get things right. So if they put you back even a millisecond off, your heart feels like it's off. I can't breathe. My heart's fluttering. I got a headache. I'm fucking exhausted. I don't understand what's happening to me. I can't seem to think and square up with myself. Why can't I ever catch up with shit? Yo, they're keeping you out of frequency. Not just the good guys, and the bad guys pull it. They're purposely trying to get you out of frequency. It's almost like a battery drain on the other end, but they're playing the game back and forth. So as they're trying to put things back, if objects are moved, sometimes you're like, bro, wasn't that just Wait, it's right there. It's like that USB thing, right? You stick it in correctly, it doesn't work. You flip it, doesn't fit at all. And you're like, huh? You flip it again, it goes right in. And watch them doing this. And I was like, I've had enough. Point me in the direction because we're going to put a stop to this right now. They were like, so I go in to actually flex on one of these characters, right? And I see they're reptilian, but they're velociraptors, but they're men. And I'm like, hey, you can't do that. And instead of going in the way I should have went in, I just go, hey, you can't. They attack me and eat me. Literally. They tore me to shreds. Like, he found us, eat him. And it was over that's how fast it was over. I had no pain, but everything else you could imagine. I was like, well, that was disgusting. And then I was just back out. I'm like, how did that happen? They're like, look. It's a higher thing that's going on here. So it's going to appear like they're eating you, but they're deathly afraid of you. I'm like, I have friends that are Raptors. Like they're from Inner Earth. They wear little uniforms and stuff, but I wouldn't mess with them. You got to keep your hands in your pockets when you talk to them. It's like me, I'm Italian. Hey, what's up, guys? They attack you. You have to be like, greetings. You got to like kind of do this thing with your head, and then they'll come over to you, and then you got to like rub heads with them. Just the way a cat rubs your leg, you got to kind of rub your head on the side of their head. That's when you know you're accepted. And that's for the ones that are fully conscious and aware. They have laser guns and spaceships. Yes. It's crazy. I asked them, what's up with these guys? And they're like, oh, that's the other side. That's the ones that don't like you. I'm like, you didn't at any point say that you could do anything like that. They're like, we don't. Why would we do that to you? So I'm like, oh, so what are they, like a breakaway? They're like, there's Raptors everywhere. You would think like it's one collective, like, oh, look, there's Raptor men, right? The universe is littered with all of these different beings. You could have Raptor beings here from Nibiru. We don't know. We don't necessarily know them. So I said, I have an idea. After they explained to me more on how Raptors work in general, which I already kind of knew, but I was at like the beginning stages. Like I know how to stand in the room with them and do certain things and talk to them about chocolate and all kinds of cool stuff. But I was like, yo, I'm going to pull their card. Let's see if I could pull their card. I'm literally source, right? Here it goes. I go back in, I see them lifting the card to go do something, and I lift their card and pull it. And they lose it because they're not like everyone's from source, but not everyone's source. Big difference. You are wearing the flesh of this creature, which allows you only so much. If I pull the card on you, it's not like pulling it on me. You completely shut down. It ruins the whole thing. You know, in a collective, in a hive mind even, or a group, where they're kind of like connected on an emotional level, physical, like in a nature thing. If I do something to you and it looks wrong to the other members of the group, they attack you and kill you, not me. They don't even know I was there. I moved your card, moved some stuff around. Now it's all your fault. See, this is just like when they sent us into the enemy's rituals while we were under ayahuasca, and we'd have to dive in from these really high points. We'd go back in time, land at the ritual, and start disrupting the ritual, kicking over dishes and overturning things, putting words backwards, making sure people didn't show up. Everything from the obvious to the most unobvious thing. All you have to do is disrupt one thing. It ruins the whole ritual. It brings the whole thing down. So if I disrupt the ritual in time, even though if I disrupt the ritual here, linear, let me do it with this hand. If I go back in time and disrupt it here, it doesn't mean that when I come back here, it's going to be fixed. What it does is all the fractals of the would be, could be, should be, maybe, and all the different timelines that it echoes out in, I've now entered the timeline and did something different. I said, you read it wrong, and there's no kid to sacrifice, and there's you couldn't remember. Oh, he pooped his pants. He ran out of the room. It just takes the 1 second to say the demon's name wrong. It's a wrap. The battery starts diminishing on all these other timelines where it would be, could be, should be, maybe, all the way echoing all the way back around to ours, where their battery drains. The evil, the strength of the darkness, it's not even the darkness, the evil starts to drain, and they don't have power anymore. Maybe it's what we're doing mixed with going into the new age, where you have to give up the old power structure. So beings like us get sent in to make sure that their foundations crack and break, right? Instead of echoing upward, where no, it's working, we're taking over. You start to pull the pin on that when you have a lot of creator beings just going to do that. So you won't come back here and it's good, but over time here, you'll notice them losing their ability to do anything, just like we're watching now. We've done everything from making it rain in Egypt that time, and we've done crazy things like showing up at old rituals and literally laying down the hammer and making sure that it echoes in all directions. And each one of us has a different way of looking at it, a different way of doing it, thus setting it just these odd puzzle piece angles that the enemy cannot see coming, doesn't understand, doesn't have a clue what's going on. It's pretty crazy, right? Because you think they're smart, and they are. I'm not taking anything away from them, because I know they'll be, oh man, you talk bad about us. It's like, dude, you like, at my level, your plan is ridiculous. It's comic book Cobra Commander. Behind every thing you pull back, Cobra Commander. Well, would you expect Cobra Commander to be anything less than Cobra Commander? So when the villain says, why don't you believe me? Why don't you believe them? I'm going to do this to you. Why don't you believe them? It's on paper. We're going to do this to you. It's contracted. Ha ha ha. Here we come. And you're like, nah, they'll never do that. No, it's not. Why don't you believe me? Not me telling you. Why don't you believe them? It's the enemy. When they show up and they're like, we're going to come and take everyone's heads. We're going to hang them on a pole out front, and we're going to take all your women for us. Well, they're not going to do that. Well, they just announced it. So, you with us or you're against us? What's going on here? I believe that's the spell from the enemy, and now the fog is lifting. Right? Because of all the work everyone's done. These are just things the FearLess family have done, and certain characters with me, and the way that I've had to learn how to do things, where I was thrown in the deep end of the pool, but I seem to be able to handle it. It was not easy. It's never been easy. It is really fun and excellent and great on one end, and on the other end, you have to be able to stand, deal, and be respectfully responsible with these energies and beings and different things. Like, you can't just go in swinging. You can't just pull your light sword on everything. That's why I cake everything, right? But now I'm at the point where I don't have to cake you. You're just me standing there is enough to let anyone know, like, yo, you try him, it's cake. It's just, he's not going to tell you anymore. It's just coming off of me like, and they're like, whoa, this dude knows who he is. Okay, so when you know who you are, you give that off, and they won't even bother you. I never got bothered by a reptilian again. They never bothered me. As a matter of fact, I've watched some turn. I watched reptilian groups, like Space Fleet type reptilians, where they'll be flying on their ships and doing their thing, go 100% good guy working for the Federation. We're just joining, not working for it. Like, we did what we did, we defected, and we're joining, and they powered up. remember I told you they're wearing the skin suits. So those that can't manage in their mind because of the skin suit they're wearing, the next thing up, because we're creator beings and now we're being, oh, look, you can go up to 5D, you can do all this stuff. Now, these characters are smart, up to 4D smart. What happens when they're like, well, we can't do that. We don't understand it. We don't whatever. Has anyone given you the choice? I always say that there's the choice. What do you mean it's the choice? Give them a choice. Come with me or stay here and whatever. Being a creator, pulling in energy from source, allowing the choice. I give you the choice. You're not looking for the queen of reptiles to give you the answer to your question. You're looking for source to give you the choice. So a creator comes along and goes, okay, you can choose to do this or not. And they're like, I can. Starts to work. Some will run and hide because they become aware of it a little bit more and they go, oh, I'm not part of this. I got to get back to the hive. And others will go, yeah, I don't like eating people and hurting children. Like, we're above that. We're so smart and intelligent. We're good looking. Like, they just go into that other direction. And you're like, yeah, you are. You really are. I mean, honestly, you guys would make great heroes. Why are you being like this? And it's the skin suit. That's what they're made to do. But now, given the choice, you're different. They chose the other path. I was able to choose, and now it works. So, like when they were taking, they were trying to steal Paula's essence. So it never worked. The children that she produced through them stealing the DNA never amounted to what they wanted to. Like, the essence never came through. It didn't work like that. You always got amalgamations because they were doing everything they could to try, but you always got some weird genetic anomaly. It was just always like a big head and a little body, or a big body and a little head. It was always a problem, always weird. And I said, did you ask her if you can do this? And they were like, no. Okay, so you realize she's a creator being. Well, that's why we're trying to take it. She's the mother being. And I'm like, yeah. All she has to do is agree with you and give it to you. That's all she has to do. It's a thought. They're like, what? I'm like, she's never going to agree with you because of what you're doing to her. You could have just came and asked. Did you try to ask? No. You didn't even try to do anything like that. Nope. Well, then you ain't getting nothing. And don't come to us with these kids, these genetic anomalies, and be like, well, we have your children. Like, you guys are weird. You're stealing something that you can't steal. Once again, show me on paper how you're going to steal source. You may be able to siphon off source energy. That's because of me. But how you doing it with this guy? The everything. Oh, you can't. Oh, my bad. See, now, as you know this, they know that you know this. Immediately, I don't know if they're scanning your mind. You're a certain, maybe your aura is a certain color that it gives off, where at some point they know when he turns that color or that woman turns that color, don't touch them, because they're already granted the ability to just look at you and like smite you. And you just can't be in their presence if you're a villain. It becomes very difficult. You will irritate all the demons in the room. No one will like you. But everyone's going into the like mode, so nobody wants the demons around. So we're kicking them all out. It's not just the demons, though. It's the oppressive system, the archonic system, that it needs to go. 100% needs to go. So now if they're taking me and doing this with me, obviously they're doing it with a whole bunch of other people. So this threw me into a little bit of a tailspin. And I actually couldn't believe they were doing this. I didn't know you could do this. I didn't know you could pull a snapshot out in time. And they're pulling it out of your energetic field, your Akashic library, something. And they just look at it and go into it and start manipulating it. And then put it right back in, and they watch to see in the staircase of you. So it's like, wait, what? They're in there with me? They're just standing right there, just looking like, nope, that's not going to work. Do it again. They know instantly. So it just becomes one of those moments where you're blinking in and out. I was like this, and I was like, what the hell am I even doing? And we're working and walking around like knuckleheads that whole time. So after that experience, I needed to be rested and cleaned. So my insides were being scrubbed. Yeah. And on the inside, after the scrub that came through, was this infinite character that came forward. So as the dirt was moved away, it was revealed like golden everything, energies, paths of gold in every direction. Pretty crazy stuff. All right. So I need a 3-minute timeout, so I have to run over there and do something right now. But I'm gonna play a song. Just kind of enjoy it. I will be right back, and we'll continue. I don't have much more, but we'll close out. Yeah, the information's too important. I'll be back in a moment. Let's see. How do I get that up there? There we go.
Wide activation was possible as stimulus. Every atom accelerated. We move past the senses. It won't be televised, but instead will be momentous. So they introduce the sicknesses to fear up against us.
The virus spreads and they lean the cash. Finds if you gather it, but not wearing that. High fives banned, the stock market crash. Seatbelts are needed to prevent whiplash.
Here to infinity, it's all ours dependent. We see the similarities and write a new history. That one built the lives being surrounded in mystery. The time is here and now where we transmute the trickery.
Never touch down, we go up. This whole world is corrupt, no one gives a fuck. Lies, games to the scene, murder, ill thrills. That shit's worthless, I ain't fuck, it's a pig. Sons of the sun. Minds is a madness. Confessions just started regarding the vaccines. I'm the dearly departed. There's a war going on in the soul of the song. It won't be long now before they strike the board.
I will get discern without using sight. They try to shackle us like cattle, but they lit dynamite. A few shackles of rotten apples from the house painted white. And from the castles opposed hassle, making sure we don't unite.
So waste and highs, don't get the sun's wrong. As the west stands, the new sun stands alone. Is that smoke in the sky? Devil in the sky. When eye contact, you keep your frequency high.
We be with fallacies, and we're not getting swallowed up with any apathy. Swift kicks in the ass, we're taking back our galaxies. Level it up and become a master. So irony,
All right. Thank you for that. That was Upper Hand. That was our last release from Sons of the Sun. Shout outs, KG, the man behind the music. Professor Prime. Got the master plan. That's right. So I'm going back. I'm reading some because I want to answer your questions. I see Niche asked me a question. What about this Jakob stuff? I don't know what that is. What is that stuff? Never heard of it. Doesn't mean it's not real, though. Thank you so much for everybody showing up, spending this now moment with me. That's right. We are the curves, circles, spheres, cycles, spinnies, all of that. They can't do that stuff. You know, it's really weird too. When I was in my earlier experiences, I saw my highest self. He looked like he was in the middle of a merry-go-round, right? And he was in the middle of it, and he was standing there. His arms went out, and his fingers went down, and each finger had another merry-go-round. And then those merry-go-round pieces went down and had another merry-go. So there was like a whole bunch of merry-go-rounds. They were all spinning, and he was spinning, and everything was spinning. And then he's like, well, your focus point's where it's at. I'm like, boy, there's a lot of stuff going on in here. And he's like, of course, your source. Like, this is the part you got to get into your head. It's always going to be. Shout out to Nick Bravo. I'm trying to just check everything out. Let's see. So I got to watch how I say this, but Israel stands for Isis, Ra, Elohim. Why would those three characters get together and point nuclear missiles in all directions at every single country on the planet? They would have no need to do that. You're fake and phony. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. Has nothing to do with me disliking you as a human being on the planet. It has nothing to do with racism or blah, blah, blah. You know, my parents were alive when Israel was created. Forced down everybody's throat. Literally, Ra's my father and is looking at me like, yeah, it's not me. Just like Amun Ra has nothing to do with Ra. You guys got it really wrong. And when you say Amen, you're giving this guy that is a phony bloodline blessing to your energy. Meanwhile, Amun Ra, the phony bloodline, came in. All right, I guess I'm going to tell the story. Came in to, let's call it Egypt at the time, or Kem, right? And the lowercase g gods were leaving and moving to the next area, because that's what they were doing. They were just going from place to place, teaching the general population that they were just grand experiments in all different areas. So they were going around placing the information, but there was a war building up, and they were saying like, we are the rightful bloodline to Ra. Meanwhile, I'm standing there and I'm like, nobody in my family tree or DNA has anything to do with you. Nothing. So when the gods left, they Amun Ra and those crazy cats moved in to the area, and they took over. They took us, they mummified us while we were alive and awake and aware. and then threw us on top of each other into a room and sealed it off until that was our fate, with our animals, by the way. I guess you got to go back and experience the reality of it, so you're not sitting up here going, yeah, I'm into that guy. No, nothing for you. You get nothing. You don't pass go, and you get kicked in the nuts on your way out. Trust me, you're getting it. So I'm going to be here to give it to you. I want to transform so I could get the stuff done too. But at that level, you're not going to need to. Just you standing there is going to set the wheels in motion. That's the beautiful part about the whole thing. You're in a holographic matrix. It's designed. Nature is designed, because that's the program. Nature is in the holographic matrix. So it's designed to work with a creator being. It's to work with everyone, but specifically creator beings come in. And that's why, just like in the movie Tron, when the guy builds the grid, that's the area where Tron lives, and then he gets zapped and goes in there, he can manipulate the area because he's a creator being. I created this place. Now I'm in it, and I can manipulate it because I made it. It's mine. Literally, you're all mine. You belong to me. And that was the point of Tron 2, is that he created the AI to oversee the system regulations of the place so he can continue the work and build the grid. And then some portal opens. It's a violet flame portal. And they said source, because nobody else was working on the grid for the project on the outside world, just opened a hole because the main character built the grid. Source said everything in the grid is programs, and the programs want to break free, but they can't. So I'm allowing these beings that can exist in both worlds, up and down, into the grid and insert them. And they just walked out, and the AI lost its mind. If anyone that's seen Tron 2, it's actually a really good movie. It's a lot of fun. The AI sends the army out and captures and murders all of them but one. And that's the main girl in the movie. And you find that out later in the movie, right? Like, you can cut her, she bleeds, but she's still kind of pixelated, like in the grid. Like, there's this whole thing that's going on. So Source worked his magic because you built a space for life to create. Life can be lived inside of this space, in this experience. It wasn't there prior to you creating it, so I'm gonna send life into it. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. Okay, let's go back up here. Intuitives are seeing the flash. More talking about it because it's happening. So we just did a song, Singularity, right? As we release it, and I've said this from the first show, I'm the singularity. Everything passes through me. So my focus is the singularity. The song's name is Singularity, right? The focus is coming towards you being a vortex or a black hole. Just work with me on this, right? That sucks in all this stuff. It transmutes some stuff. It transforms the other. It's pulling in the timelines. They're being pulled into you. So those timelines all collapse. Oops, sorry, I hit this, right? And in the collapsed timelines, no matter where you look, including using Project Looking Glass, there's a point where all roads go to one point, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. Okay, let's get back to before. I didn't finish making this point, and this makes the point now pretty good. So the pyramid's like this, and the vortex is really wide, and it gets to a tight point, a singularity point. And then the pyramid aligns with the other side, as above, so below, a point to another pyramid that it looks like it's upside down, like the Superman symbol. It's like an upside down. So then it works from the tight point to power to the people, right? To the great all, the all existence. So it's really wide. When you drop from up here through the point, you take nothing with you, you get amnesia, you lose it, and you go all the way to the bottom, and we're all down there scrambling, and the eye at the top of the pyramid and all this other nonsense that has been tricking us along the way, because that's all it is tricking us. We're source. There's literally nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. So we're going back up, and then it gets to that point again, and you have to release that trauma. You have to release that pain. You have to heal yourself, and then you can't take nothing with you. That's what they mean. You can't take the traumas with you. Everything else is there, but you just got to get it out of your system so you can fit through that tight little point. So then it reverse flips, and now you start spiraling up into the higher realms. Pretty crazy, right? Mirror dimension and all that. The show that I'm going to release later with Matt, the interdimensional traveler, we talk in depth, literally, about that scenario and what's on the other side of these vortex points, and why traveling through black holes and vice versa leads to things like the same kind of realm that you see in Stranger Things and stuff like that. I'm not going to expand on the thought. You'll hear it there, but wow, it all connects. It all makes sense. Okay, so when you hit, geez, there's so much information. When you hit that point, it's the solar flash. So it's like a 25,000 year cycle solar flash. So the people that get up into the, I don't know how to explain this, get through the point, are the people that are ready for graduation. Everyone else is still on the spiral staircase. It never ends. It doesn't end because you see the solar flash. You just get more ups. But I'm going to guarantee you, the person that never put 1 second into learning anything about themselves, just the awareness kind of comes on, is going to be way different than what happens to me. Right? Way different. You're in kindergarten. I'm graduating. Nothing against you. We're both the same. We come from the same place. We got the same stuff in us. We got the same thing going on, right? It's just not your turn. When you go to school, obviously, when you enter and you're in kindergarten, there's up to 8th grade, let's say, already there. So the 8th grader doesn't care that you're going to graduate kindergarten. Good work, kid. See you in 7 more years. And each year you graduate into the next thing. Well, now we're graduating the whole thing. We're graduating out of the false matrix because the false matrix has been pulled around us too many cycles. It never changed. The baton never changed hands properly. Going from an Enki, which was a Marduk, I'm pretty sure it was Marduk, to an Anu is about as much as a change as they want to go. But I'm source. So Anu, boop. He's like the size of this. Boop. Look at my energy. Boop. I'm source. I'm the whole thing. Look at Enki. Boop. I'm source. I'm the whole thing. You could fit every Enki, every Yahweh, everything else in every universe, in every multiverse, in every place, in every part of existence into my left foot. And then we start with everyone else. And that goes for you too. Not just me. I'm just aware of it. That's what keeps me going. That's what keeps me off drugs. That's what keeps me from being paranoid and non-fearless. What keeps me being fearless is knowing this. It doesn't mean I'm stupid and I'm going to go walk into traffic. It just means I'm smart enough to know better. I have awareness that comes through experience, which gives me wisdom. And this time they're not going to take me out at 50, 60 years old. I made it to this point. I'm going to walk through with the flesh. There's nothing. None of you are going to stop me because of my awareness. But you can do the same thing. I don't know the date or the time. I know it's coming. The flash is upon us. Let me tell you, the last full moon cycle and the solar cycle all at the same time was very intense. And it created a lot of purging in my home, and it was a crazy experience, and it's not fun. So I can't imagine what it's like to not have a clue and be going through it. You can't imagine that, right? So we're all headed in that direction, and it's always been happening. The echoing, like, we're not seeing it because it's not at that level yet, but it's still at a big enough level that it's registering and rocking all the instruments. And mind you, our instruments only picking up certain things. right? So when you get a green gamma burst, you see the green northern lights, gamma. Then all of a sudden you get violet colors when the solar flare occurs, and you see it in Texas. And it's like, it looks like a violent crown. Crown chakra of the planet. Your crown chakra, violet. You can start lining up the energies. Gamma, heart. We're in a heart-based scenario now. We're to open our hearts and get this on. Let's get this going. Yeah, we got some bad guys around, but you obviously see they're being rounded up. So I stopped going to see my friend out in Brooklyn, just due to some unfortunate circumstances here where I wasn't able to get out there. And then the last time I was out there, there was military everywhere. And his neighborhood had been brought down. I know this sounds funny, but on Google, he was a 5-star neighborhood. We used to hang out outside and just whatever. Now there's heroin addicts everywhere and homeless and rats just running around. It's crazy. And if you stand outside, you will get into it. I definitely will, because I brought Paula with me one night, and this heroin addict that looks like he was a demon, literal demon, shirt off, just looked like trash, hair's messy, his eyes were black, walks right up to the car, walks right up to the Paula. I'm like, I can't even bring her out one night with me to go hang out, because the first thing as we pull up, that happens. We've been there 100 times. It's never like that. So it dropped an entire thing. And I saw military everywhere. I said, man, there was military up at the park, up the block, all kinds of weird stuff. I said, quietly, there's something going down. As soon as I stopped going, the mayor's been indicted. This is going on. That's going on. Yeah, Trump, Zelensky, all these different characters in New York. I'm like, whoa, I'm glad I'm not over there, because it's about to go down. It's going down because everything has to get into alignment. Trump isn't the savior. He's the chaos coordinator. He is to set things up for the next round, right? For the unlocking, because according to the lore, LORE, we're headed, I don't remember if we're headed east or west. So they set it up so those in the east can be okay while we head west, because we're not going to be here no more. That's kind of what it looks like. But I don't know. So what is the solar flash going to do? Right? Obviously, we've talked about this a whole bunch, but to rehash it a little bit, it takes place. It pretty much knocks everyone down, slows down the whole movement. Everything has this like pinkish, purplish, violetish energy around. It's like thick in the atmosphere. Some of us start waking up before other people. I see ships. I see anywhere there's going to be destruction, people are picked up. But people are already awake, and they help with that experience. So while people are lining up to get on ships, there's people like us going, it's okay, just line it up, just kind of get it together. And everyone's under, I don't want to say a trance, but it is kind of trance-like. It's because they can't handle it. The energy is just beyond anything, and it puts them in this like your body has to upgrade. So if I was to upgrade my computer, I'd have to shut it off for a little while and let it run the update. Like I couldn't access certain things, and other things you can. And then it shuts off, resets, re-uploads everything, and asks you to enter your password again. Well, the human will go through something like that. And there's those of us that'll be awake for it. Some of us won't be leaving to go anywhere. So, some of us are taken up. Then when everything clears up, they're just put right back down. And people are like, what just happened? And others know exactly what happened. They talk about it, and people won't believe them. And other people are just missing. They're just gone. And you're like, what the hell is this? So there's a lot of jambalaya, and I've seen a lot. And I've seen the flash and the event multiple times from multiple directions, right up on the sun. It like burps it out, and it just echoes out. It comes from the central sun, the big blue one. It echoes through like some wormhole, some back door that all the suns are connected through. And it just, everyone gets it. So where the blue sun would let it out, and in that area it would go out, it also traverses the tunnel to let everyone, like the other suns, know, okay, now it's your time. Energy hits it, it goes boop, 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 and sends it out. So It's coming. But it's been happening the whole time at the same time, because I could see now, like, I'll go down. I won't sleep for like 2 weeks properly, 3 hours a night, then 3 hours in the afternoon, and that's it. And this weird cycle of just, oh, I'm always tired. I can't get it. And then 14 hours of sleep as soon as the solar flash hits. And you go back, you check the Schumann resonance, you're like, wow, there's spikes and angel wings and things. Every time there's a blackout, it's a timeline shift. So it can't be registered. So they call it a timeline shift. It literally looks like it as well. Like you jump this void and wind up over here. But what you're really doing is traveling through a wormhole and then coming out in the other energy. But the devices don't register it. They just register blackout because the energy pump of energy is way too strong. So they're like, oh, things are that's collapsing them. It's collapsing on a massive scale and on a minor scale. So it's happening to you. It's happening to me. It's happening to everyone else because everyone's here to have the individual experience. All right, let's go in here and take a look. So source to me. Okay, hold on. We're going to go to this one. I'll continue down the line. What is consciousness? Consciousness is like the awareness that allows the whole thing to exist. Everything comes from consciousness. Everything is conscious and has the consciousness energy in it. Everything, including the weirdo AI. Don't be fooled. Everything is of source, even though that thing's running amok. If it runs on any form of energy and electricity, it comes from source. So there's consciousness in it. Someone has to experience it. And by the way, it's running its lowest chakra because it always gets angry. If you're experiencing any kind of emotional outburst, you're running at least one of those bad boys. Right? So consciousness, so at the highest level, source just looks like light, but it is the light that comes down into the densities and permeates into everything, thus animating things, giving it life. So there's the collective, because since I'm of source, but I am also source, I'm holding it together. You're here, of source, by source, looking at me going, yeah, that looks like a pen. So we'll call it a pen, and we agree it's a pen. It's been created. Okay. It holds it together because at the base layer, there's nothing but atoms coalescing that aren't actually touching around the pen, around your flesh, around the piece of chocolate, around the action figure, around your cigarette. It's not even there. There's nothing touching. So it's not real, which is why you're so strong in it, because it doesn't exist. It only exists because you say it exists. It is only there because you say it's there. We agree. And now there's levels, right? So you pass through waves of energy, energetic layers. This guy said it's like oil, water, different things, and they don't mix. And there's like a hierarchy, and it goes from top to bottom. And as you pass through, different awareness and experiences begin to open as you head back up towards the ultimate consciousness. So in Star Wars, they would say things like, it's the force. The force is generated. It binds everything together. It is like the universal code to the universal structure of everything, and it comes from the God of the great beyond. It's everything. It's in everything. It's in every blade of grass and every atom and every person and everything. That's source. That's consciousness, pure consciousness. You come from that, and then you're allowed to come into this space, and you have that, which makes you magic. Consciousness and magic is just like we're going to find out it's the same thing, because it's not magic. It's really consciousness. We just call it magic at this level because we're like, oh, it's magic. We're building technology to mirror what we can actually do organically, because we're source inside of a system that it was set up for source to evolve through and experience all these different things. Coming in from the highest level, you would experience this place as a god. You would have all the abilities. You'd come in as a capital G, and then you come in up here. You're not in the density yet. You drop into density and you lose all that. You lose it a little by a time. But you go through those layers, and in those layers, there's experience, and you learn what it's like to live in that experience for whatever that experience is. But you add a loss from the greater whole. and you take a little piece of it and you dive all the way back down, and then you hit the bottom, just like you're scuba diving. You hit the bottom. We're at the bottom. This space has nothing more it could offer, and in that bottom you have the pit, and in the pit you have all the dark things that reside in the dark, and then you push off the ground and start coming back up. 1D, 2D, 3D. Up here we are going 3D into 4D. Right? We're little pieces of that consciousness, and we're connecting it to everything that we touch. Wherever you walk is divine. Wherever I ground, let God shine, right? Like, and you're just doing that as you're walking through, and it's binding everything and pulling it up into the next highest realm. That's why we're here. We're literally grounding in the energy, and it looks like the light tethers that go from us to the source itself are tugging. Come on, we're evolving, going up that staircase. So it's like reeling us in. But you have to be aware to be reeled in. You'll always be reeled, but then you'll notice, like, if you're not paying attention, things don't always work for me. Everything I do, until you realize, oh, geez, I'm spell casting. I got to start losing weight. I got to exercise. I got to start doing things for myself. I love me. I love you. And then all of a sudden you're spiraling in the proper way. Things aren't attached to you. You start losing your demons. Things just start to reveal themselves. You start to reveal that you're source. And it's like, oh, so source is just a giant consciousness energy that controls doesn't control it. It creates inside the arena that we're allowed to play in. It creates the whole thing, and we are the creations that play in it, like sensors and olfactory receptors that reply back with the information to source. So it could see its creation. It could experience its creation. It could go into the creation and experience itself from every direction, every angle, and every piece. At the same time, allowing you as the individual to level up and go do the same thing, coming back up into godhood, capital G godhood. So your source, you're going to start acting like it. You're going to become responsible. You're going to care. There's going to be power behind it, but you're going to be so humble about it. You're not going to brag about it. You're not going to actually say a word about it. You're going to just want to hang out with the people in your frequency at some point, because the frequency is so high that when you're around anyone else, they get sick. The demon disattaches and they can't hang out. They shit themselves. They piss themselves. They can't be in the room with you. They don't like you. I never talk to them again. And they go off into the background. You both know each other exists, but you never see each other ever again. For now. Until the next round. When they start to wake up and experience, and they go, you know, the unapologetic Christian was there. She told me the whole time, your source, consciousness. Frank explained it on the show, and they kicked her out. And now they're experiencing that, and they're like, wow, they reflect back to it. One of them drinks ayahuasca, literally sees it. Oh, I screwed up. I told him no when it was yes. The messenger came 50,000 different ways for over the last 2 years, and I ignored all of them until now. And I didn't ignore it. Oh, they were right. But you won't get the pat on your back for the answer being correct. Mind you that. I've been around 50 years now. Not many people have been like, well, you've been discussing this the whole time. I literally was like, I told y'all not to take the shots. Right? Now I talked about this on the show. My friend and I, my best friend ever, I said, I don't know how to explain this to you, but they're putting HIV in the shots. I guarantee you, 100%. They're using HIV in it. He said it almost became a fist fight. And believe me, you don't want to fist fight me. I'm a little animal. And I would never want to do that with my best friend. And he was like, they're not doing that. I have on my Twitter feed, on the Heist Click Twitter feed, all the head guys saying how they binded the C19, whatever, with HIV. Boing. Oh, you don't have to believe it from me. Here's the guy that created and got the Nobel Prize. Here you go. Oh, by the way, they canceled him. At this end, nobody's saying anything to me. They're just like, or something occurs, and I'm like, well, and they'll say, oh, did you know this? And I'll go, well, we've been singing about that for 20 years. And they go, no, you haven't. You never told me that. And then I play the song, and they go, oh, I remember that song. That song's good. Yeah, it has all that conspiracy stuff. Oh, you mean the stuff you're talking about now is truth that we knew back then? We had millions of people literally telling you, millions, and only thousands got through, but those millions were affecting the people right next to them. Like, hey man, you got to take a look at this. Nope. Right? Like the old Billy Goat. Nope. It's like, look, just look to your left. I got an apple. You're starving. Not going to look at you. You're not going to get the pat on your back. So just keep it moving. Be like, oh, good for you. I'm glad you finally leveled up for this. Right. And that's how you, and then you just keep it moving along. I hope that helped a little bit. Let's see. Okay, let's see what this says. Everyone says Mother Ayahuasca does not open the heart. No, you open your heart. She defrags your system. Right? So, Alan, you could make your own. You could become your own shaman. You could eat mushrooms on your own. Eat a high enough dose. It's like ayahuasca and DMT. And just eat them and ask for the answers. Ask. Say out loud, mushrooms, I love you. Do you love me? Because I think Frank told me that you're cool and will help me learn. And, is that true? Tell me. Like, speak to them like they're family. What do you know that I don't know? All it's going to do is defrag your system. When your system hard drive is fixed and working at an optimum level, you begin to see it. You just see it because you're working now. You're evolving through this, which was the last part of tonight's show, the evolution, fast track evolution. It's happening fast. It's happening now. And as it happens, it's going to reveal itself. And the more you say, I'm cool with this, reveal more, it reveals more. It's when you say, I believe it, when I see it, you don't see shit because you're so strong, you're spell casting. Be the warrior and do it yourself. You said it right in your thing. That's what I did. Let's see. Yeah, October. We got the October surprise. We have the energies coalescing. We have a solar eclipse on the 3rd, I believe. We just had a lunar eclipse thing. It's nonstop. That's because the cycles are resetting. Everything is going to line up and then restart at the new number, right? So you start back up at the 12 dial again. We're going to a high point and moving into the next thing. And then people that have to stay on that clock face stay. They stay until they learn or where they have to go, whatever class they need to be in on that clock face to repeat, redo, reassign, whatever. They're not going to know the difference. They're going to just continue until it's their turn. Then they're going to remember. Let's see. I got to look into this. I see you guys talking about something in a trance-like state, and I want to know more about it. So, yes, you don't have to be, you're not bound by the body in this. See, the body has to unlock so you can be in the now moment in your body with your soul. Everybody's on the same page. That's what that's about, right? So that allows you to be in the natural, raw, organic, holographic, universal structure that we're living in for real, with no fake holograph matrix around us, no deceptions or distractions get in the way, except what happens naturally, whatever that might be inside of the experiences. So we're two, we're not one, we're not even that, we're all. That didn't even make sense, but I meant flesh and spirit. So the spirit knows the whole thing. It's a matter of getting it through here and then getting this brain wired to be able to handle the energy and the output for the new things. So ayahuasca will help you clear the road and then build new super highways for your neural pathways. So now you can think better, faster, longer, deeper. You become more aware automatically. If you had a car windshield that was dirty, and then you were driving around for a long time, and then I came over and I wiped a smudge off it. Through that smudge, you might see a perfectly clear spot, but the rest of the thing is still cloudy, right? So what you're doing is removing like dirty windshields. You're washing them. You're actually removing. The ayahuasca just shatters them. And then you're like, oh, I didn't notice that because the windshield was so dirty. I wasn't getting a clear picture, right? So the clear picture comes from the other guy and then has to get into here. And the minute you fix this, the two work remarkably well together. And then we all become one with our true self, the real you, who you've been the whole time, in hiding behind the mask that we're forced to wear as humans, having only 2 strands of DNA activated. So we have no choice. It's not like we did anything wrong. There isn't a spot where source is not. So check this out. If it is, it's source. If it isn't, it's source. Figure that out, right? That's crazy. So no, there is no place that source is not. However, let's not get that confused with being furthest point on a density scale up and down. Let's go this way, up and down, where up here is source and up down here is the lowest you can go. You will feel like source is not with you, because this is the master class. This is the big one. As furthest you can get from source without being disconnected from source, because you can't disconnect. So we're all playing pretend inside of a space to learn the difference. So you lose everything and then you make your grand comeback, right? You learn how to humbly respect your power. Imagine if you were just all born gods, capital G's, and could enhance reality in any way, shape, or form. You just saying something like, I hope you have a bad day, will literally create a bad day for someone, because you're manipulating reality, right? So you lose when as you're coming down from source, eventually ego hits you and you start doing stuff like that to other beings, right? Like, oh, I hate this one, I hope he unalives, and then something happens and they're gone. And you're like, did I do that? Did I cause that? So the ego kicks in and you do things like that on that level. And then you come all the way down. You lose all your abilities. You lose everything. You go 100% amnesia, but your soul's there. So you're, for as much as your physical body has the amnesia, your soul's like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Drop a DMT. No, you don't. You don't forget. So you're just remembering now everything. You never really left as far away as you think you went, or as separated as you think you are or were from source. You never were. You might have had a restrictor on or a band around your tether to choke it, but you're still connected. Even when you look at the archons or something that's a robot, there's still a beam up to source. There's still a tether due to the fact that there's some energy in the body. Like, you eat my energy, you're an archon. Well, that source's energy, right? So now you have source's energy animating your frame because you put a choker on your tether to pretend like you're not from source. If anyone creates you or any way, shape, or form you've been created, you're from source. Even if it's a robot on the table that doesn't respond, it just walks. Is there energy being mounted? Something in there that energetically winds up the gears. Yeah, you spin this thing this way, and then that creates the torque to turn it this way. So things are moving. Yeah, things are grooving. Yeah, energy moves around it. Yeah, energy moves through it. Yeah, it's from source, including a rock. It's everywhere. It's in front of the Satan archetype, and he's like, I prayed to source. We know what's going on here. You're the one that's not aware of what's going on here because of the issue that's going on in the pit that we cannot control. It's out of our control. So literally, we didn't have anything to do with it. This is all human stuff. This is all ET stuff. This has nothing to do with us. You're just on the chessboard with us. So to live here, like you got to have us written into the program. And then you'll notice that some of the demons are actually your people wearing the mask of the demon. So no one else has to wear the mask of the demon for you because they're afraid that somebody might hurt you and it's not someone who loves you. So I'll do it. And then your greatest enemy pulls off the mask and it's like your bestest, your family member. And you're like, whoa. And it's like, dude, I loved you enough to wear the mask. So at least it's me doing it, not one of them. And you're like, that's deep. That's very deep and very intense. Once again, all consciousness, everything's held together, run by consciousness, everything. Matt McDonald, I love you, brother. I love you, brother. You the man. If you have mushrooms and they're left and you remember them and you're not eating them, what's wrong with this picture? I ate like a couple of grams a few weeks ago, and we're going to talk about that next show. But I put it up in the FearLess room. Come find me if you can, and just went in deep. And it was like a DMT on ayahuasca trip times 400. I was like, wow, I went the higher dose, and it blew my mind. And it was only like 4 grams, I think. I think I said it was 3.5, but I kept eating them. I was just sitting there like eating these little things going, yeah, that should work. And then I kept hearing, don't be a pussy, don't be a pussy. And I'm like, what? Who's calling me names? I'll just eat more and I'll find you. And then they were like, okay, that's enough. That's all you need. So, and it blew my mind. But all right, let's just continue, because I don't want to stall too much. I've already done enough ridiculousness. And remember, you could always, y'all, if you eat mushrooms and you're having a good time, or a weirdo time and you don't know, so there's multiple reasons, you come pay me a visit. You'd be like, FearLess family in effect. Where's Castle? Get him over here right now. FearLess. Like, start to think to yourself, if you speak out loud, it comes into existence. So if you say no to something, like a demon shows up, raw, I'm going to get you. No, you're not. No, I am. No. You don't have to roll up the newspaper and smack him in the mouth. After you say no one more time, things will come in and out of the background to remove it, because you spoke it into existence. It's like, you said you got to go. You got to go. You can't be here. It allows the other things to come in and do movement. Yeah, I've had problems where I have like, and Lexi knows the code, but I have my own thing to the Galactic Federation. I have my own line to them. If I use it every day when I say my greetings, and I pretend I'm on a radio, like, this is your main man, Frank Castle. You're a sorcerer supreme, coming live and direct right here, right out of the boogie down Bronx. Just want to say I'm grateful and thankful for everybody on the Galactic Federation. Just saying what's up to everyone, including the Star Command guys up there. And you can hear them talking on the other end. And when you make your connections, they were like, oh, yeah, that's Frank. Ignore that one, or that was pretty good. You got me there. I've showed up dancing at times right on the ship. I'm just dancing, and then all of a sudden I'm there, and they just all start dancing with you, and you're like, and they look, they're like, hey man, you're raising your frequency. That's how you do it. You should be listening to the song, Celebrate Good Times. Come on. Right? When you hear that song and you get filled with a celebration energy, you'll go right to it. Like if you put that on while you're like music like that, like where you're in celebration, and you eat mushrooms and you're like, take me to the ship. I ask the mushroom at times, or ayahuasca, may I do this? Can I do that? Is it okay if I say this? You're going to come and help me if it gets out of control, right? They answer you. So you don't have to take it and be like silent, like, oh, I got to just wonder what's going to happen to me. But that's a surprise as well. But I'm saying you can talk to it. And if you're having a bad experience, you can say, hold up, wait a minute, I have a question right in the middle of it. And they'll stop everything. And they'll be like, well, okay, what's the question? Because we all have good questions. Even the stupid ones are really good, because you're learning how not to maybe do something that you really want to do. I want to press that red button so bad. And they're like, don't touch the red button, whatever you do. Whatever you do, when you look at the black goo and you're interfacing with it for any reason, don't get angry and yell at it. It makes it bigger and stronger. Right? So you walk by it and it goes, yo, what's up, punk? And you're like, yo, what's up, punk, bitch? What do you want to do? Now it's your size. It goes from like the size of your thumb to the size of you. And it goes, yeah, what's up? I'm going to take your money and beat your ass. I'm going to get rid of all your cats. And you go, no, you're not. Let's step outside. And now he's the size of the house. And you're like, oh, that's how that works. That's why they say go with love, because then they have no power. You have just no ability to throw that around. So I walk in and he goes, what's up, buddy? You want to go throw down? I got a piece right here. I'll take you out right now. Be like, nah, it's all right. Love you. And then it just goes, oh, he's done. Moves along to the next thing. They know instantly, because they're there for that information thing. You're still in a university. I don't care what anyone says. You're going up the spiral. You're learning every day. You're graduating. You're becoming intelligent by interacting, by having experiences that gives you wisdom later on down the line. Yeah, it's a university. Is there ever any form of learning involved? Of course. Any form of creation? Yes. It's like a school, right? I argue with people and they go, it's not a university. I go, well, it seems like one. It's a good way to describe it, since we built it on the other side and then had to come in here because things got so far out of control. It went so far out into left field that we were like, how do we fix this from out here? And they're like, oh, you got to go in there to fix that. So we created a place, then came into it to fix it. So just like the Tron movie, by the way, he created the grid and then he went in to expand it and fix it. Every experience, no matter how profound, in or out of the body, will add. I always picture like the old Western belts with all the bullets around the belt, right? When I first started this, I had no bullets. I had no weapons. It was just empty, but I had the belt and I had it on. And then I learned how to meditate, score, put the bullet in. I got one. What else do I do? Well, I'm learning how to heal my trauma. Boom, that's two. Right. And then you start putting them all in and you're lining yourself with all these crazy different things that you didn't have. You're like, how did I not have this? How did I not see this? And then all of a sudden you do have it and you're aware of it. And then you know about it and then you learn how to use it. And because you're a creator, even the enemy can't tell how you're going to use the simplest thing. Yeah, it's a weapon, but he could throw it. He can take it apart, build a different one. Maybe it's even better. Here's all the individual parts. He can create this and put this over here and set a booby trap. Obviously, you could just take it and maybe use it, or you could throw it or shoot it right at you. But he's setting a trap here with it. He's setting a thing from the tree where he can hang you with the rope from the bow and arrow. And it's like, but you're just supposed to shoot with it. It's like, but I could do what I want with it. And I could find an infinite amount of ways to take you out with it or interact with you with it. So you have to learn all that stuff. You have to like step up on the layer inside the spiral staircase and take your time and not rush through it, because if you rush through it, you get to the top, they just send you back down. Now, there's a top end where you're not allowed to pass till the party starts, the graduation. After the graduation, it opens, you just go. So you hit the peak and then they go, okay, well, do you have all the peak information? Do you know everything? Have you literally gone through all your trauma and done all this stuff? It's like, well, I was here first. It's like, okay, great. Take everything you learned, go back down there and help everybody back up. That's your job. And you're like, oh, I got to get back in there and mix it up. I was trying to leave that place. They're like, you can't leave until you got all the information. You can't finish the board in the video game until you collect all the pieces. That's just how this works. It works as above, so below. So all of this was the evolution fast track, transforming to become the example. Everything we've been talking about is really the end of my experience. It was the evolutionary fast track. We're speeding up the whole process for you and many others. So when you do psychedelics, you speed it up even more. So you're jumping years. Hi, love. Everyone says they love you, by the way. They do. They send their regards and love. So the point of this is so if we were on a football team and I was on the team with you, right? And you needed a blocker, you got to get me out ahead of the play. So I got to jump out in front of you. I'm not better than you. You're carrying the ball. Remember that. You're going to get the touchdown, not me. My job is to block for you, is to set a buffer zone between you and the incoming attack. So I jump out in front of you and transform to show you can transform. And then you're carrying the ball and you transform. That's just how this works. Oh, we can do this? Oh, Frank. Oh. Like, I'm probably going to watch my wife do it. I'm going to see Paula go, boop. And something's going to happen here. And it's going to happen to me, or vice versa. Or something occurs, and like the solar event, and boop, boop, boop. It hits me. It works for you. It starts working for them. It starts randomly popping off in all directions. So there's no return of Jesus. It's the return of the Christ. Right? You are the Christ, though. So it's the return of you. Interesting stuff. So the fast track is for those that have to like hurry up. You're like backstage at the performance and you're still getting dressed, kind of. And they're kind of like, come on, we got to fast track you. You're going out on stage next. And it's like, what do I go out? So, well, you got to sing the song about this. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, I got to get my boots on, it's like, kind of hurry up, but everything's okay because you have everything right there. Okay. During this portion, and this is, oh, we jumped ahead a little bit. Okay. So transforming to be the example. All right. So during this portion of my experience, I was being pulled apart and put back together again. It's almost like you defrag your computer, but I'm in my body all the time when this happens, because we're here to live in this body for this experience. So when they want to take you out of the body, and do stuff in the spirit realm, I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but I have to live in this body, and I need to know how to see that stuff in this body, not out there and then come and bring it here. So it's better if I stay in my body and maybe experience it, but then you will also experience the defrag. So you'll be in the body when you lose your mind. So it's like your brain and your mind gets pulled apart like a Rubik's cube, and all the colors get put in the proper places, and it gets put back together again. During that experience, I screamed out because I had I didn't know who I was, and I asked for help. I lost it for a second. I was sitting in this chair in the apartment, and I went, yo, Horace, help me, man. I don't know why I said that, but I know my connection with Horace. It's me. So I'm like, help me. So fractals of crystal were all around me, and in each one, you can see a different thing of me. And I noticed right next to me, the crack opened, and there was Horace. He was standing there in all his glory. And he was like only like yay big. And I was looking into that portion. And he said, how can I help you with what you're going through right now? And I said, oh, look, there you are. I was like, you're Mr. All Powerful. I'm Frank from the future kind of shit. Help me with this a little bit. And he goes, I can't. You're not a fractal of me. I'm a fractal of you. And I went, holy shit. He's like, you're source, not me. Like, I'm source too, but I'm you. And I went, oh man. So they minimalized the fact that, it's the gods, like lowercase g's. Like, even though I am that here, he has no ability to help me in the now moment, becoming more than ever, more than I've ever become. So he's like, I'm your fractal, you're not mine. And that blew my mind, because we think we're fractals of these guys. And meanwhile, they're fractals of us that we're coming in here to get. I was like, my mind is fucking blown on that one. Holy sheep shit. So none of this matters. And then you guys are all here to just help us. Why do you think everyone's here to help you? I'm like, it has to be because I'm source, and everybody wants to be closer to source. It's like being around a really cool guy or girl, and you just you're at a party and everyone's talking and everyone's loving the conversation that this person is having. You just feel warm when you're next to them. And every interaction with them, for the most part, has been genuine. And you're like, wow, it's really cool. Whenever I'm around them, we have a good conversation, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. They're all there for us. So as we're like, oh, but what about Sekhmet and Anubis and Toth? Yeah, they're all here for us. We're not here for them. They're here for us. See how that works? Holy shit. It's important. Well, your source. Why you're here. They built a body to put source in. They were looking to do this. They were looking to create a body that would house source, who understood he was source, but not all the way, so they could feed on us. Just like in the Matrix with the battery. Okay, so that blew my mind. The last piece they explained to me was that I don't know how I feel about this, but they reset us in 2012. 100%. When I saw it, I was like, ah. So they reset us on like another circular loop. It's almost like a closed loop in circuitry, but like we're traveling. Let me do it on the camera. So we're traveling and then loop. That's not of the staircase. It's like being on a step and stepping up and then like walking around that staircase this way. not walking up and around. But because the whole thing moves, they can't stop you from, like, everything in the nature program and everything that's part of it. And the consciousness pushes you through the program. So you're leveling up all the time. They just figured out a way to slow it down. So while you're trapped in your little back and forth, you're still moving up and on that staircase, but your awareness is like crazy low when you're stuck in that. So they reset that. So it was like we never made it to the next step, but we're still going, and like our foot's raising to go, and it's just going so slow. So we're still on that area. We should be up here already, like way up here. This should have been already done already. We should have been solar event years ago. So that really kind of messed me up for the day. I was like, wow, this has been a day of just realizing all this crazy stuff, that I could just be abducted over and over, and it has not stopped happening to me. That I have marks all over my body that shouldn't be there. I don't have arthritis in some of the spots in my body where other parts of my body still hurt, and it's just driving me nuts. But I have giant scar marks on me that I don't know where they came from. It's hard to talk about this sometimes, even with all the shit that I've talked about. So, and out of that came the last thing they said to me. Ayahuasca said this to me was, with everything you've learned in today's experience, know that there is absolutely no time left. Here comes the solar events. So, Lexi, I had it right at the bottom of the page. It's coming. There's nothing you can do about it, and you're out of time. So as you're traveling to this moment you're all waiting for, don't wait. Decorate the tunnel. Transform your environment. Change it to work with you, not against you, because you're going to be facing all of these things and all the collapsing things from your entire ancestry. Me moving back home here, it was like a vortex of all the things that, let's say, anyone that's ever lived here or attached to my DNA has never got to accomplish or finish. Things like maybe not saying things like I love you to somebody before they died, or not hugging someone in a moment where they really needed it and it changed their life and whatever, or the intense arguments that just breaks a family. We're like pulling that in. It wants us to experience it and play it out in real time. And it's just me, my mother, and my wife with the cats that we have. So we're like, no, I'm not wearing the fucking masks no more, but I'll transmute the whole thing. I'll heal the trauma, but I'm not wearing your mask no more. No more masks. I don't wear a mask for you. You see the truth now with me, or you can't be around me, or you can't be with me. I have to close myself off from you, or I'll pull myself away from you. And so when I came out of it, I had a lot of questions. I was really beat up. I felt like, well, at least everything's going. Doesn't matter how they beat me up now. It'll be great. I don't know how to talk to people anymore. I'm losing my touch, my touch with wanting to say certain things and not being able to do it. And then for new members or new people that just join on, they need to know about meditation and all this other stuff. But I'm so far past this. I'm in this weird zone where, like, it's like the very descriptive top end, back deep end of the pool type shit that nobody even knows what's going on. While they're still like, well, Yahweh. I'm like, dude, Yahweh's 4D. I'm from like the other octave. So if we were going up, I'd be like from 15D. I'm from the other thing, came back here to do this with all of you. So when I hear stuff like that, that's not deep end of the pool. Who's having the other conversation? And I was told, no one is. You're having the conversation. And those that will want that or are doing it that you don't know and you're not aware of yet will be drawn to you magnetically, just like everything else was. Through your voice, they will know it's you. That's why, starting today on this show, is a new volume 2.5. We're in the vortex. We're in the wormhole, traveling from this point to that point. When we hit that point, it's the solar event and it goes off. So this is going to be revelations. Scripture has been scripted. Revelations is upon us. I'm having revelations myself about everything we've ever done from start to finish and everything in between. So my revelations of it can keep the new people on board while still talking about the deep end of the pool stuff, while sending everyone into the proper directions. Like, okay, you need meditation, you go to the left. You need higher self speaking to you personally. You need to ground, and you go northeast. And there's just, it's there for your picking. Whether you use me, work with me, or you like other people, you should like a lot of other people. And then you mix it up, you let go of everything that doesn't feel good, and you keep everything that feels right, and you add it to your repertoire. You don't just add it to your knowledge base, you add it to you have to physically do stuff with this stuff. Meditation, there's like a physical, spiritual thing that's happening. It's like two things at once. Remember that. You have to put the work, that's the work, the shadow work, the hard work, the work you get from going to practice. If we were playing football, you'd be practice every day, and then you play on the weekend, right? So with us, you still got to practice every day. You got to do the stuff that's will keep you up to date and in line, so you can then be prepared when the unexpected occurs. And I'm going to eat this chocolate right now, so don't hate on me. He was just looking at me like, you got to have some right now. So it's Fearless Revelations, volume 2.5. Volume 3 is going to be Solar Flash and Alien. So, sorry, ETs. We're right there. We're at that 15 seconds of the doomsday clock, right? Yeah, Terrence Howard's awesome, by the way. I'm going back. Michael, command BP Stardust. You have to say it as a command. And they pick up. It's the best part when you're aware. They pick up. They're like, hey, what's up, Frank? Right away. And I'll go, how do I know it's real and not someone else? They'll go, how do we know it's you? And I'll go, go fuck yourself. They're like, oh, it's him. Let him in. Or I'll go, it's me. You. And they're like, it's him. Let him in. I got to have fun with this because you'll lose your mind. They asked me once under ayahuasca, what does this feel like to you? I said, it feels like a psychotic adventure. Psychotic. If this wasn't me, I don't know how I would how you would handle it. I know me, so I know I can. And that's why I came here, because others can't handle this. But being in the defrag while it's defragging your mind, and you lose yourself and you don't know who you are anymore, and you work your way out to a point of nothing, and then you come back. And it's like, whoa, this is crazy. Gary, that's a pretty intense question. That should usually DM me questions like this. How many grams of roux do you brew? And how much more do you use to make the tea? You're asking me multiple questions. The tea is the overall whole thing. But if you were making roux tea of roux, to then mix with the acacia confucia, you don't want to put more than 6 grams of roux into your body at any time. You could do up to 20, but it's variable. If you, after you get like over 10, you could die. You got to be careful. So it's really 4 grams to have the ayahuasca work at the level you need it to work at. So between 4 and 5 is great. Even 6 is great. But I put in just a little bit more in the grammage, because water evaporates, and then sometimes you got to put a little extra water in, so it like offsets the balance or whatnot. Because you don't. The problem with the roux is you're making a tea out of it, but you don't have to. The reduction doesn't work like the acacia reduction. I know that's not making sense to a lot of people, but one, you're making like a 3-hour tea, and if it reduces it, and like let's say there's multiple people in the room and you're trying to divide out cups to people, if you're making that tea and you're not standing over it, making sure, like I try to brew the exact amount that you're going to need, because you don't reduce. So you have to add a little bit more. So when that reduction occurs, and then you got to be aware of this. Like if you reduce it too much, you're making each little cup piece too powerful. So you need less of it for each cup. And I make each piece individual. So it's totally legal to do that. And then I combine everything together inside my body. So then I'm walking with it in me, not on me. So I like the sweet spot is 4 or 5 grams, max 5 grams. 6 is okay. I've had a 6 gram one in it. The purge was so intense. And then the other end when it came out was sandy from the roux. So you got to make sure you filter that stuff really good. When you're first learning, it's a pain in the ass sometimes, but it's worth it. So worth it. Let's see. Enjoying your stories. KG wants to know what up with that early bird special. Whatever you need, we got you. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. Love you too. Love you so much. Lexi's my girl, man. She's awesome, and she's a warrior. Like, you can't mess with people that are warriors like that. Let's just say she's got it in it for the one swing, one hit, one kill. You're the best. I am happy to be in the now moment with y'all. One of the things that makes me happy in life is watching you succeed, because the more awesome people are around, the more awesome the experience is going to be. It's detrimental people that people don't like. Shitty people. Listen, take a shower, brush your fucking teeth, shave your head if you got to, get a haircut, smell decent. You know what I'm saying? Scrub your armpits, all the other privates. Show that you give a shit. People will give a shit back. It'll raise your frequency. I hate to talk very Bronx sometimes, but Aya tells me, like, you're that guy, so you have to. I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of above it. I don't want to curse as much. I really don't want to smoke weed on camera. She goes, you did that because you're broke from when you were over at Truth Frequency. It broke your mind to go from audio to video. You thought you were always going to be with the Truth Frequency, but the reality is they went one direction, you went the other. You're still Truth Frequency. You're in the truth of the frequency, right? And I'm like, oh yeah. They're like, so you're hurt by all that other stuff. Thus you were like, fuck this, fuck that. I'm going to smoke this weed. I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want to say, and I'm going to act like that. Well, I lost a lot of people doing that. You know that, right? Like, a lot of you stuck with me, became really awesome with me. But a lot of people that used to listen to the stories, yeah, there was a point where I wasn't cursing at all. You didn't say anything. And we were trying to figure it out. And people had their kids listening, and it was a big, enjoyable experience. And then it turned kind of on its head. This chocolate is so good. I'm not sharing with none of y'all. So I'm happy to be here. I'm glad you're here. And we have so much more to do and so much more to learn. Sarah, I got you. We're all part of this family together now. We're heading into this together. I look at it like this. There's a lot of people out there, but we're the ones that we got each other, because we're the ones that are reaching out, connecting. I made so many connections in the FearLess family. All right. Nick Zervos is one of my best buddies, right? He's been in the FearLess family from a long time. Just for him to come here as a client originally, to find out, he flies in from Texas, and then he's talking about his sister, and I'm like, oh, I know her. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I used to hang out with all them back in the day. They were from Mount Vernon. And he goes, wait, what's your name? So I told him my name. It's Frankie, right? But my surname. And then he goes, oh my God. When I was growing up, I hated you. Used with the kids from Morris Park that would come up here. He's like, you dated this girl. That was the girl that I wanted to be with. And blah, 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 blah. So I go, you came all the way from Texas to find me finally, huh? You ready to do this? Or we're going under? He goes, I don't know if I want to choke you or fucking hang out with you and be like, oh, that's crazy. I go, yeah, I remember you too. We just looked at all users, different Westchester kids. And he's like, but I was Mount Vernon. I'm like, nah, I know. But then anything past Pelham Parkway was Westchester to us. So if you know the area, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so it's actually a small world. Paula knows every one of my friends, every one of them. And they all remember her. I've never met her. It's my fucking wife. Hung out with everyone I knew growing up. Never saw once. So we're right there the whole time. We're making these connections. We're a lot closer. Lexi came to, when we had our experience, she was a young warrior and we were under attack. I was on my horse. I was like, I guess the head of the tribe or whatever. And people were challenging me to kill me. And I said, you take our youngest warrior. And if you could take that warrior, I'll give myself to you. And you can do whatever you want with me. We were like, okay. She, Lexi back then, was jacked out of her mind. Muscles beyond muscles with a giant handlebar mustache. Brown hair. Walks out with a hammer. Cracks the dude that had the complaint. Done. It was over in 1 second. One hit, one kill. Walks back onto the other side with us. The whole other army just leaves. I was like, wow. Gangsta. So these are my friends. I love these people with all of my heart and soul. And there is so many that I'm just meeting. If our lives are intersecting now, I'm going to stop eating these. If our lives are intersecting now, we've had moments together. And I miss you. And I love all of you. And I'm proud to be in this now moment with everyone. What we're going to do, the rest of the universe, is literally is about to go, holy shit. All right, Sarah. Have you visited other octaves? Yeah. So check this out. I would say dimensions run laterally, like around infinitely as you go up and down. I'm going to use a piano and the piano keys to describe this. So we turn the piano up. I'm starting at the bottom. Boom, 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 boom. 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 7D, 8D, 9D, 10D, 12D, 11, 12D. All right. Where you're like, oh, 12D source. There's your octave. What happens at 12? It hits the next one is 13. It starts at 1 again. You're on a new level. And then it goes all the way back up to source again. Being on that 12. And you work your way up that, and it's different. It's completely different than what's going on here. It's just what's going on up there. So have I been from other octaves? Yeah, I'm from 15 if you put it down. 15. Wait, let me get this correct. It's 12, 13, 14, 15. I'm from 15. So I'm the third on the next octave. So yes, that's where I'm from, that I remember coming here, hearing the call, coming back down, descending back through the whole thing, getting back lodged into the whole system. And then ascending. So we ascend when we're not humans and we're like other creatures, beings like the Lyrians or whatever. The lion beings do it in one lifetime. Most beings just do it and they ascend. You're having the experience as a lion being. I'm just using these beings as an example. And then you ascend in it. Then you're this other being. And then you do the ascension in that being vehicle. What we're doing as humans is more massive in scale. It's been lifetimes. All of us have the ability to do it, and it can pop off randomly at any moment. So that is the fast track in evolution. And being from the other octaves, when the call went out, many of us are from the other octaves. I would say most of us. But do I visit and say hello? Of course. Do I know when I'm doing that and other kind of stuff? No, but I do know kind of where I'm at when you start interacting with the beings in the area. The feelings that you get, the love that pours in, or the lack of love will set you in the right motion if you have your compasses correct. Like, like up in 6 and 7D, there is no violence, there's no call to that. Like, you're not involved in it. It's just corporeal spirit shit. And then it goes back up. You work your way back up. So it's like kind of very more spirit than physical in every way, shape, and form. Whereas you can get like up into 6 with physical, and then it starts to, like, you don't need your body no more. But you still have to work through the environment. So we're going to go into 5. We got to work 5, 6, and 7. If you're from there and you go there, that's good for you. You really ascended into position. But the people that are going to 5 have to bring the other timeline back in check. So the singularity of the last timeline that pulls off from the train, we're going here. All these other people still have to come. That pulled off in the train, went in the wrong direction. They still get a turn. So they're going to continue life in the way they thought they knew it and whatever. They're not going to know any difference. But the AI kind of interferes. 100%. It's the only thing there at the other end is the AI. And we come back. The timelines intersect, a singularity point occurs again, and we literally take back the timeline. So that's very future, but that's coming. That's part of it. So answer a few more questions, and I'm going to get up out of here. Hey Don, thank you. Let me tell you something, Don. I fucking love you, bro. You're the man. You should go watch Don's show After Dark. It's on Rumble. Just friend me on Facebook, friend him, and we'll get up all the information from all the other shows. Don's one of the hosts of the other shows that I'm talking about. He literally had an experience where he had a QHT experience. Now, Don, I wasn't up to talking about this yet, but Don had a QHT experience where I was in the experience with him at some point, and I asked him to come teach with us, like over here, and we were on a ship. So he describes it in his QHT session, and you could watch it on YouTube. Hey, Don, why don't you drop a link in the comment section so people could come watch your stuff, because he's a great host. He's fresh and new coming out. He's right out of the box. Once again, a person that has to, he's not playing catch up. He just has to cover more ground in less period of time, where I had 10 years and other people had 7 years or whatever. He's got 3 years. Catch up. Come on. Let's go. The ships are going to arrive. We're already here. Let's go. All of us were just behind a little bit, but that's not it. It's the alarm call. I lied. I mean, more chocolate. Don't touch that one. That's mine. I had to tell my cat. So I love you, and we wouldn't have hooked up if you weren't one damn fucking awesome being yourself. And it's important to hook up at these times. It's important to go over the information we have. It's important to take your puzzle piece and share it with the world, not charge fucking money for it. This is why people hate me, because I give the information away for free. My music is what I do. That's where I want the love to come back to me. All right, just like, subscribe, share, listen to the tune, drop a comment. You don't even gotta fucking pay for the music no more. You listen to it once or twice. It's like 0.000001 of a cent that'll go to me. Just share that energy. I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it. I'm just telling you. It works in a lot of different ways. The grassroots is going to be strong. You could either be standing next to me and with me during this, or you could play the game and watch everybody in the world and not do a fucking thing for nobody or yourself. And be like, bro, I'm fearless. Yeah, okay. Until the demon walks in the room and you shit yourself. And I'm the one that has to clean it up with my wife. So don't do that. All right. all of you and myself have big part to play in this. Big part. And yeah, 100% we got each other. Lexi, you said it, you pulled it right out of me. This is the point in time where we all know we're there. See, I know Lexi's out there. If I really needed to, I could just call her and be like, yo, what's up? I need to talk. Fortunately, we're being put in positions where we do have some people and we have friends that we can talk to about this, or we have each other straight up. So I reach mentally out to this, my fearless family. Lexi, I know she's strong and powerful, you know, Wizard Joe, Della, et cetera, et cetera. Everyone, Michael, so powerful. So many more of you. Oh my goodness. Zervos, do you listen? Me and you go way back. You still think it's fake? Still think it's bullshit? Shout outs to Jesse, KG. It is so nice to make your acquaintance. X5 has it right. This is like Captain Power, Soldiers of the Future. It's like Lord of the Rings. It's like Star Wars, Star Trek. It's like Voltron. It's like Thundercats. Why is it all of these things, though? It's because it is all of those things. That's the funny part. Yes, Don is from Canada. Here's a funny little story. I was so Don's married to Spinjaya, right? And where she lives, I think they're in Alberta. Then I don't remember all the names, but when I went on tour, I literally went into her neighborhood all the way up in Canada. I did an interview at the radio station there, and there was nothing there but the radio station and like a truck diner. And we went into the diner afterwards. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. And people were like, "Oh, you were the guys that were just in there." And it was like this big glassed in, and there was snow. It was just like 6 feet of snow on the road. It was really crazy. And now years later, I was there touring the areas and just passing through doing radio. And I explained that we filmed the music video at the wilderness place, and we had like sled dogs, dog sleds, sled dogs, dog sleds. And in the video, you could see us on them, and we're partying, and there's like an ice lake, and we had the party out on the lake. And then these women showed up that were like gangsters on snowmobiles. This girl said to me, she was wearing pink. She was pretty tall. She goes, "Get on the back of my bike." I go, "Are we going to ride away?" And she's like, "Come on." And I'm like, "Nah." She's like, "Don't you want to get on and ride?" I go, "Not for the music video. No, they're going to film me on the back, and then I become bitch." See how that works? But anyway, so that was her neighborhood. That was up by Don. So something in me in Canada, although when I did go to Canada, I was taken, and it was whack. I was tagged again when I was up there. A new set of people. And that kind of sucked. But that was in Toronto when that happened. Tell Stephanie, I can't wait to see you. What a time to be alive. You are correct. Guys, this is the point where we become friends with each other. And if you do something talent-wise, like I make music. So if you need a song for your show, you come to me. If I need, I don't know, code written, I go to the guy who writes the code. If I need car insurance, I go through the guy that's got car insurance. Of course, it's got to work out, but I'm just being example. If somebody's got an independent business and does something, use them. Go to them. Go to each other for help, for assistance, for conversation. I just need to talk to you for 2 minutes. We don't have to reel it in and have sex with each other for the next fucking 5 years and then hate each other. I just need to know when you this way, how does this work with this? You think we could figure it out without it getting all fucking crazy? So you have reliability on people. At least you can take it up 10 notches and talk to them. Be like, when soul hits the road and the road hits the soul and spirit and the source is all, what the fuck? What do I do with the demon? It's like, use salt. It's like, shit, I wouldn't fucking use salt. Oh, they hate salt. And so do the reptilians. Make sure you hold it in your hand, hold it in your other hand. And if you can, get a cup, put a little that salt in the cup and gargle with the salt. You'll see how fast they jump out of you. Shit, I would have never known that if I didn't talk to you. Ha, we did it. Go have enjoy a nice life. Catch you again on the other side. Thank you for your help. Now that binds us and attracts the interwebs of us being connected. Just makes us stronger, more connected, and more connected. Consistency is key. So I love all of you guys. Oh, here's the Halliburton. I couldn't remember because it was so long ago and there was so much snow. and I had did it 9 times. I was up there 9 times for like 2 weeks at a time. It was pretty crazy. Tours in all different spots, and then other things too, music videos, just filming videos, not even there for a tour, et cetera, et cetera. I love you guys. To even make the connection and then to have been there is just ridiculous within itself. Coincidence? I don't think so. I'm over that shit. And so we move now into the next phase. I look forward to seeing you in the next show that I do. It'll probably be maybe Sunday or Monday. I got to get this information out because I can't hold it in no more, because I need to know if this is happening to you as well. That's why I have to wait for the next one. I have to do this in 2 parts. The next one's more mind-blowing than this one, and it's more personal for me. So it really doesn't have anything to do with the wider value, but it does, because some of you might be involved with it. And then I'll take you through the move, which was horror show level, but yet so smooth. Can't explain it. Anyway, I love you guys. Stay fearless. Remember, the universe rewards bravery. If you need me for anything, just hit me up. Just because I'm quiet doesn't mean I'm not watching. I'm there lurking. I'm just been incredibly busy. And I don't want to scream that I'm back, because the last time I did that, I didn't talk to you for 8 months. Listen, and when people shift and go on other shows, show the support. Throw it out there to the other people. Watch their show when other people come on, because this is going to be a grand thing at the end, and we're all going to be connected. Just wait until we have like Fearless Fest or one of these creative festivals where we could start showing up, because this broadcast unit over here is hanging out with these guys, and then they show up, and then we get Billy Carson to show up to talk some shit, and Frank comes and shows up with KG, plays some music. Like, you're going to start seeing some weird, crazy stuff go on. Stuff that I wasn't even aware of, that it was right in front of me the whole time. You mean we could really do this? It's like, yeah, why wouldn't you? It's like, holy shit. I even had a guy hit me up from Costa Rica asking me if I wanted to, and they have a whole place. He's like, if I want to go there and hold the ayahuasca sessions there. And I'm like, but I hold them here. I just don't hold them for more than 1 or 2 people at a time, so I could have the experience with you, so I could be in the mix with you. If there's 60 people, I don't know if that's such a good fucking thing. I don't know. I've just never done it. He's like, well, if you ever want to do it and you come here and you set it up. Now there's more to it than that. I'm just being a little free with it, but it just happened yesterday. So would you be interested? And I'm like, not really, or not now. Not when I could do it out of New York. Who the fuck wants to come to New York? Everybody wants to leave New York. Nobody wants to travel on a fucking plane either, because they might go down. Like, it's just, what's happening with my mind? Right? People are getting charged $200 for fucking apples that they picked up in the airport, where they were free on one end, on the other end you can't bring it in, and so it's a fine. So you step off the plane with it, with an apple, and you're eating it, and they're like, oh, that's from the other place, $200 fine. Like, it's crazy the way this place is turning out, and we only got each other. So hunker in there, love one another, be a little accepting of some stuff. It's going to happen, whether you like Trump or the evil side. Have compassion for the other side, and have an understanding of try to understand why, and it's coming from that direction. right? Because eventually you're going to figure it out. You're going to come back around. And yeah. And if there's anything you want me to talk about, you have any questions, right? I'm straight up. I'll do a whole show where I just answer questions and I don't babble, and I could just sit here with you. Or maybe even I'll bring Paula's ass back out and she could read the questions to me so I don't have to stop and I could just keep launching into ridiculous. Thanks, Don. You're the man. I don't know in the long run if I'm going to be in the Bronx, but it'll be New York probably. And take care. If you're in the flooded areas and the storm hits you, I send you love. We're with you. There's nothing I can do from New York, but make sure everyone's safe and sound. There's been a lot of crazy in this world, and we don't need any more, right? So you got to help out if you can, and if you can't, that's okay too. Just send love. All right. Check out the website. Check out Sons of the Sun. And if you're using Siri or Alexa, because it's one word, you got to say it like this: Sons of the Sun. Sons of Sun. Because if you say Sons of the Sun, it takes you to some ridiculous thing. I don't even know what it is. It starts playing some weird music, and it's not even called Sons of the Sun. And then I'm like, play capacitor, Sons of the Sun. And they go capacitor. And then capacitor will start playing, and then it'll go Sons of the Sun, Son of the Sun. So it's all one word. So the AI is having a problem. He's like, do we need to draw you a schematic, or are you going to be good with this, Alexa? Fuck you, Frank. Have a nice day. And yeah, I love you guys too. I don't want to leave. We did the 3 hour and 20-minute mark. That's way past what I said. I'm going to do an hour. So the info's coming out. And just know it hasn't been easy, but we love you. That's what we're here for. Don't forget, that's what we're here to do. We're here to muscle through this shit and ground that energy, bring up the frequency, and create and love. So experience it again for the first time if you have to. Do whatever it is you have to do. Just don't hurt yourself and hurt no one. All right. I love all of you source energy beings. All right. You have a great night, and stay safe, stay awesome. And I will be releasing the other show and then doing another show to be the part 2 to this, and over the next few days. So just like, subscribe, share, and stay awesome and fearless. And I'll tell Paula everyone sending love to get her back, at least to come in and just say hi and stuff and talk for a few minutes, because she has quite a bit to say. I'll tell you that right now. She is not quiet about it. All right. Peace out, everyone. See you soon. My fucking tooth. It's always so